What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in DC as Batman x Iron Man? Part 2. If you enjoy this type of content, please casually beat the living hell out of the like button for Gotham. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Remember to check out the original story linked in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the legend of the Dark Knight. The party was in full swing as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over Wayne Manor's grand garden. Guests milled about, sipping on fine wine and engaging in lively conversations. Thomas Wayne, with a warm smile and a glass of champagne in hand, guided Bruce through the elegant gathering. The guests, a mix of Gotham's social elite and business moguls, greeted them with enthusiasm and polite conversation. "Let me introduce you to some esteemed colleagues from Wayne Enterprises," Thomas said, leading Bruce to a small group of individuals. "Everyone, this is my son Bruce," he announced, and the group turned their attention to Bruce. Bruce extended his hand in a friendly gesture, shaking hands and engaging in introductions. He listened attentively to their accolades and stories about his father's leadership and contributions to the company. "Oh, I know you money damn bastards," he thought, putting up a fake smile while mingling with them. "Given a chance, you all would stab your own father to climb higher." He knows about the internal situation of the Wayne Enterprise, thanks to the comics he read back in his past life. He knows how corrupt these people are. He had some conflicts with this kind of people back when he was Tony Stark. People who pretend to be nice to you but actually plotting to stab you in the back. Not all are bad, but the shareholders who only care about profits and dividends are indeed annoying. They always pressure CEOs to cut corners and increase productivity. They are greedy pieces of shit. Bruce's eyes went toward a middle-aged man holding a glass of champagne. "That's Lucius Fox, financial and stock management expert of Wayne Enterprise," Thomas whispered to Bruce. "He has been helping me manage the finances of the company for years now. My second in command, if you may. Come on, let me introduce you to him." He followed his father. "Lucius, it's great to see you here." "I'm glad you could make it," Thomas greeted the man with a firm handshake. Lucius Fox, dressed in a sharp suit, returned the handshake with a warm smile. "Of course, Mr. Wayne. I wouldn't miss this celebration. And this must be your son, Bruce." Bruce nodded and extended his hand. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Fox." Lucius shook his hand firmly. "The pleasure is mine, Bruce. I've heard a lot about you, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for Wayne Enterprises with you on board." "Oh, it's too early to talk about that, Mr. Fox," he brushed it off humbly. After Bruce's brief interaction with Lucius Fox, Thomas excused himself and made his way through the gathering, heading towards another familiar face in the crowd. He spotted Commissioner Gordon, a respected figure in Gotham's law enforcement, along with his daughter, Barbara. Barbara was a young girl of 14. "Jim, it's good to see you," he greeted the commissioner with a warm smile as he approached. "Barbara, it's nice to see you again." Jim Gordon smiled. "Mayor, it's great to see you again. Congratulations on Bruce's recovery." Barbara Gordon, wearing a beautiful green dress, politely replied, "It's nice to see you too, Mr. Wayne." Thomas nodded. "Thank you both for coming. And Jim, stop with the mayor. I am off duty today. Just call me Thomas." Jim laughed. "All right, Thomas. Well then, Bruce looks quite grown up now. It feels like yesterday when he used to sneak out of school and get caught by yours truly." He chuckled. "Yeah, good old days, huh? 10 years in a coma is a long time," Jim mused. He sighed. "Yes. 10 years. Sometimes I feel like I missed so much of Bruce's life." Jim put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, Thomas. You have plenty of time now to spend with Bruce." He nodded. "Thanks, Jim. Anyway, enough with the serious talk. Enjoy the party." Back to Bruce and Lucius Fox. "You know, I saw the designs you made. Your father showed me your sketchbook," Lucius said after taking a sip of his champagne. "They are impressive. So, did he get what I hid in that sketchbook? If he had somehow deciphered it and made the first arc reactor, it would make my job easier," he thought before replying. "Did you make it?" he asked casually. Version 0.1, yes. But version 1.0, no, Lucius replied. Why not? He inquired. Because your father stopped me, Lucius Fox sighed. Damn. He cursed internally. You do know what it can do, right? He asked. Lucius nodded. Absolutely. Energy generation. Unlimited energy source capable of powering anything, and even clean energy weapons. Then why didn't you convince my father? He frowned. This could change the world. It's difficult right now. It took us 6 years to build the prototype 0.1 and test it successfully. But as you know, the board members caught a whiff of it and tried to mass produce it, Fox explained with a serious expression. Ah. That would have been impossible, Bruce commented. The giant size of it and the resources needed aren't easily available. Lucius nodded. Exactly. Even we couldn't keep up with its resource requirement. The board members didn't listen and decided to go ahead with mass production. It cost Wayne Enterprise millions of dollars and wasted resources. Due to a malfunction, the arc reactors stopped working during the testing phase. Not a malfunction. I made the blueprint that way to prevent anyone from copying or reverse engineering it. Bruce corrected him. I know how greedy people work. Mass producing it is hard and costly, so obviously they would try to replace the parts with something cheaper. I specifically designed it such that it won't work under inferior conditions. And even if they managed to follow it perfectly, the reactor would have run out of power within a few weeks. Fox raised an eyebrow. Impressive. So that's why. Bruce's eyes went toward Selena, who was enjoying a platter of cupcakes with her sister Maggie. Have you ever wondered how it feels to hold the power of the sun in your palm, Mr. Fox? He asked absent-mindedly. Power of sun in my palm. Fox repeated Bruce's words with intrigue. Well, let's have a nice chat somewhere private later. He gave a slight nod before walking away. Power of the sun, huh? Fox mused silently before glancing at Bruce leaving. Selena watched Bruce walking towards her. She abandoned Maggie midway through their cupcake feast and walked to greet Bruce. Having fun? She asked teasingly. Loads of fun. Bruce rolled his eyes. My dad introduced me to a bunch of boring people. And I am hungry. She giggled. Bruce Wayne hates parties? Who knew? Parties are all right. But these kinds of parties are just a display of wealth and power, he shrugged. Nothing new. Here you go. She handed him a cupcake. Thanks. Bruce thanked her and took a bite of the delicious cupcake. He walked over to Maggie and saw the empty plate. Don't eat too many cupcakes, or you won't be able to eat dinner. Oh, this is her plate, she pointed at Selena. She finished everything. Oh God, how can someone eat so many cakes? He shuddered inwardly. Selena blushed slightly upon Bruce's glance and punched Maggie lightly on the shoulder. Shut up. Just save some space for the dinner, he said with a sigh before walking away. Bruce glanced around the garden. Alfred was busy serving the guests, while his mother was busy conversing with the ladies. His father was talking with his colleagues. Everyone looked happy. He felt happy seeing everyone happy. This peaceful scene brought a genuine smile to his lips. How long will this peace last? He pondered silently as his mind went toward the Batman comic he read back in his past life. Bruce has a new goal. He will learn different fighting techniques from the best, and then he will move on to create his first suit and weapons. And when the time comes, he will be ready. After the lively party concluded, and the guests bid their farewells, Wayne Manor was enveloped in the serene quiet of the night. Bruce stood on the rooftop, leaning against the balustrade, lost in thought. Selena, who had made her way up to the roof, approached him with a mischievous smile. He turned to her as she approached, his thoughts momentarily interrupted by her presence. He regarded her with a small smile, appreciating the moment of solitude with her. Hey, Selena greeted him softly, leaning against the rooftop balustrade next to him. Hey, Bruce replied, his gaze still distant as he looked out at the night sky, deep in thought. She inquired, her curiosity piqued. Yeah, he admitted, his expression thoughtful. I've been thinking about what comes next. She tilted her head, her interest growing. What's on your mind? Too many things. He sighed, but mostly about the future, and what I want to do. As you already know, the world has moved so much in these 10 years, while I was in a coma. I need to catch up on it. Selena nodded in understanding. And what do you plan to do? He looked up in the sky and replied with another question. Do you think despite Dad's efforts, Gotham is a safe place? Selena remained silent for a while before answering. The mayor is doing everything in his power, and after 10 years, the crime rate has decreased. But still, Gotham isn't completely safe yet. Bruce closed his eyes as the wind blew gently, caressing his face. And what do you think threatening the city? She walked beside him and leaned on the railing below before responding. It's not just the usual criminals anymore. There's been a slow rise in organized crime syndicates. You know how I was on the streets. I heard some rumors. Bruce opened his eyes and turned to her. Rumors. She nodded hesitantly. I heard there's a criminal organization called Black Mask Syndicate. It's not just them though, but also other smaller ones like Maroney Family, Loeb Gang, etc. Organized crime. Bruce muttered thoughtfully. Shit, the Black Mask Syndicate. Bastards will put a bounty on Batman's head. My head, to be precise. He cursed internally. She observed his thoughtful expression and continued. They have ties with politicians. It's all thanks to your father that Gotham hasn't descended into chaos yet. Exactly. Sooner or later they will try to remove Dad, or might even try to kill him like 10 years ago. Bruce stated grimly. Crime is inevitable, but corruption and politics are two sides of the same coin. Don't tell me you are going to step in? She raised an eyebrow. Bruce smiled mysteriously. Who knows? Maybe I will tell you if you focus on the deal we made and learn properly. She stared at him for a while before sighing. Fine. I will study properly. It's just that everything feels so weird. One day I was on the street running after stealing your money. The next, here I am. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry about the past. Just focus on the present and look forward to the future. And when the time comes, I want you beside me. Selina smiled at his encouragement and nodded. All right. Bruce removed his hand from her shoulder and turned to the small table he had arranged beforehand. Enough of serious talk. He grabbed the wine bottle and poured the red liquid into 2 glasses before handing one to Selina, as promised. They clinked their glasses together, the soft sound filling the quiet night on the rooftop. The crimson liquid swirled within the glass, casting an amber glow under the moonlight. To new beginnings, Selina raised her glass, her eyes twinkling with a mixture of anticipation and curiosity. Bruce lifted his glass, a hint of a smile on his lips, to new beginnings. They both took a sip, savoring the rich taste of the wine. As the moonlight bathed them in its gentle glow, their conversation shifted to lighter topics, filled with laughter. Unbeknownst to them, Bruce's actions 10 years ago, preventing the event of his parents' death, were rippling through time and space. The echoes of his choices were beginning to manifest in unexpected ways, setting in motion a chain of events that would shape his destiny, for better or for worse. Meanwhile, Kansas, Smallville. In another corner of the world, in Kansas, Smallville, a 16-year-old teenage boy named Clark Kent was having a rather trying day. His eyes were itching and burning intensely, causing considerable discomfort. He stepped out of his modest house, his eyes still itching and burning intensely. With each step, he rubbed his eyes, hoping to alleviate the discomfort. The small river nearby was a place of solace for him, a spot where he often fished and carried water for the farm. As he approached the riverbank, the soothing sound of flowing water greeted him. Clark knelt down and cupped his hands, scooping up some cool, clear water. He splashed his face, hoping to relieve the irritation in his eyes. Arg! He groaned in frustration, as the burning sensation persisted. He walked back to the bank and sat down under a tree. The soothing sound of the flowing water did little to ease his troubled mind. Clark glanced at his reflection in the water. His blue eyes appeared to be glowing red. What the hell is wrong with me? He mumbled. Clark ran his fingers through his dark hair and let out a heavy sigh. Ever since he was a kid, he has been different from the rest of the kids. He was stronger and faster than everyone else. At first, he thought he was special, but as he grew up, those differences began to cause trouble. He could hear voices from far away, see things clearly from miles away, and lift weights that no one his age could lift. He knew he wasn't normal, but he didn't know what exactly he was. He had been keeping this a secret from his parents ever since he discovered his abilities, afraid that they might reject him. Suddenly, his eyes felt like someone was pouring hot sand into them. Clark clutched his head as a splitting headache assaulted him. His vision blurred momentarily. He clenched his eyes shut, and as he did, something incredible happened. Heat radiated from his eyes, searing the air in front of him. When he opened his eyes, a searing red laser-like beam shot out of them, cutting through the air and scorching the grass in front of him. He panicked and tried to control this newfound ability, but it was like trying to stop a runaway train. The heat vision continued to shoot forth from his eyes, scorching a path through the grass. He desperately looked for a way to stop it. In his panic, he accidentally turned his gaze towards a nearby tree, setting it ablaze. Smoke billowed from the burning tree, and the flames roared to life. He fell backward, his eyes still shooting the red beams uncontrollably. As Clark lay on the ground, his vision still shooting out red beams, he inadvertently turned his gaze towards the small river he had been sitting beside. The intense heat vision struck the water, instantly causing it to boil. The riverbed rapidly dried up, leaving behind a trail of scorched earth. Steam billowed into the air as the water vaporized, creating an eerie spectacle in the tranquil countryside. In his desperation, he tried to cover his eyes with his hands, but to no avail. Clark cried out in pain as the heat vision continued to burn uncontrollably. He gritted his teeth and struggled to stay conscious. His body trembled as the heat vision continued to wreak havoc around him. Focus. He gritted his teeth and focused on controlling this strange ability. Slowly, the heat vision weakened, gradually coming to a halt. Clark lay on the ground, gasping for breath. His heart raced wildly as he tried to process what had just happened. The burning sensation in his eyes was gone, replaced by a dull ache. As Clark recovered from the ordeal, he noticed the destruction he had caused. The riverbed was completely dry, the scorched earth covered in steam. The surrounding trees were charred black, smoke rising from their burned remains. The land around him was scorched. He sat up shakily, his mind reeling from the experience. He stared at the destruction around him, overwhelmed by fear. Thomas Wayne's third-person POV. The clock read 2 a.m. as Thomas Wayne stood in the hidden cave beneath Wayne Manor. The cave was a well-guarded secret, accessible only to a few trusted individuals. Earlier that day, someone left a message for him in his office. No one saw the person who delivered the message. Alfred, the loyal butler of the Wayne family, stood by his side. The cave was dimly lit, the shadows playing tricks on their surroundings. It was a place that had seen its fair share of secrets. The message had been cryptic, mentioning an impending threat to Gotham. Thomas had no choice but to investigate, even though the hour was late. "Sir, can we trust this message?" Alfred asked with his usual calm voice as he watched Thomas trying to scan the voice to find out the real identity of the messenger. "I have my doubts, Alfred," he admitted, his brows furrowed in concern. "But we can't afford to ignore this. If there's even a shred of truth in this message, Gotham could be in grave danger. Besides, as you already know, we are standing on thin ice. The gangs are getting restless these days. I am certain something's going on in the shadows." The scan result came up on the screen. It's a robot's voice, generated artificially. The one who sent him this message was no amateur. Thomas pondered the implications of the artificial voice. It was clear that someone had gone to great lengths to obscure their identity. He knew that such a message couldn't be taken lightly. He replayed the message once again. The voice in the message continued, its tone urgent and anxious. "Black Mask's gang is planning something big, something that could plunge Gotham into chaos," the artificial voice revealed. "They've obtained a powerful weapon, a prototype technology that can disrupt the city's power grid. If they unleash it, the consequences would be catastrophic." Thomas and Alfred exchanged concerned glances. A technology capable of disrupting Gotham's power grid was a grave threat that could lead to widespread panic and lawlessness. They needed more information and a plan of action. "Sir," Alfred said, breaking the silence. "No, we had this discussion before," Thomas replied, knowing what he was going to say. "I closed it for a purpose. I took Bruce's ideas, tried to steal my own son's invention, and you already saw the result. I tried to do some good, but if those greedy bastards find out it was Bruce's ideas..." No. I can't, Alfred. I cannot risk Bruce's life again. Never. Then you should have an honest conversation with Master Bruce. Confess and come clean. I am sure he has already noticed at the moment you showed him the Batmobile that you took his blueprints. The butler told him matter-of-factly, his face ever so grim. He even had a nice chat with Mr. Fox at the party. I think he is waiting for you to come clean. H.A. Thomas sighed as he rubbed his eyes. Yeah, you are right. I will talk to Bruce, then if he wants, I will let him build the arc reactor. But there is still one thing I still don't get it. He turned to Alfred. He scribbled those blueprints when he was like 3. How did he invent an arc reactor? How could a 3-year-old kid think of something that great instead of learning how to talk properly or play with toy cars or something? I mean, it's freaking arc reactor. It makes you think, doesn't it? Yes, then he even stopped the assassination attempt 10 years ago at the crime alley. Alfred nodded his head thoughtfully. You were right, Alfred. I think it's about time to have a serious talk with my son, Thomas concluded, already having a new plan for the betterment of Gotham in his mind. Just to be on the safe side, I will have Lucius work on a side project to prevent the power outage somehow. I am sure he can come up with something interesting. In case the arc reactor plan fails, we will have a second option in our belt. Smart, Alfred nodded as Thomas started to leave the cave. Sir. Thomas stopped and looked back. What about this secret? He pointed toward the glass case where a black bat-themed combat armor was locked securely. Will Master Bruce ever learn the truth? That's in the past, Alfred. I have achieved what I wanted, and Bruce woke up. Right now, I am the mayor of Gotham City, soon to be a senator, and a family man, he explained, walking toward the armored suit as he continued. Gotham City deserves her hero back. She can't be left vulnerable to the mob's rampage, nor the corrupt police. He turned back and continued, but I plan to solve it all as Thomas Wayne, not as the Devil Bat. Besides, I am 40 years old now. I had my share of fun. It is time to bury that past in the darkness. The people of Gotham need a good mayor, not a bat. Not anymore. Black Mask or whoever comes next. They won't be able to escape my special groomed task force in the future. You and me and Batman, Alfred. It's all in the past. He then started to climb the steps. Meanwhile in Gotham's port, under the cover of the moonlit night, a submarine stealthily emerged from the dark waters. Its hatch opened, and a group of individuals clad in black suits and masks disembarked. Among them, a tall, imposing figure, wearing a distinct black mask. The man approached the rendezvous point where Oswald Cobblepot, Penguin, awaited him. The Penguin was a rotund and cunning figure in Gotham's criminal underworld, his keen mind matching his peculiar appearance. Well, what brings you to my humble abode, Black Mask? Penguin greeted the masked man with a sly grin, puffing on a cigar. Black Mask, his identity hidden behind the eerie obsidian mask that adorned his face, spoke in a deep, gravelly voice. I have a business that requires your expertise, Penguin. He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Oh, do tell. I've been itching for a new venture, and a partnership with the Black Mask Syndicate could be quite profitable. Black Mask nodded. I've heard of your skills, Oswald. Your connections and resources could be of great use to us. We have a project, something that will shake Gotham to its core. Penguin's eyes gleamed with interest. I'm all ears, my friend. Black Mask leaned in closer, speaking in hushed tones. We've acquired a prototype technology capable of disrupting the city's power grid. Imagine the chaos we could unleash, the fear we could strike into the heart of Gotham. But this technology needs some modifications, and that's where you come in. He chuckled darkly, puffing on his cigar. Sounds intriguing, indeed. What's in it for me? You know the risks, and the present situation isn't that good. Black Mask smiled beneath his mask, his eyes betraying his malevolent intent. A generous share of the profits and a significant piece of the city, once we've brought it to its knees. Gotham will be ours to control, and you will be at the helm of it all. Penguin grinned, revealing a row of sharp, yellowed teeth. I do love the sound of that, but before that, we have to remove a thorn from this city. We will deal with Thomas Wayne. You find the meta-humans. 2 years is all I need to bring Gotham and Metropolis down to their knees. Black Mask replied as he walked toward the parked cars. What if he shows up? Penguin asked with a somewhat concerned expression. The Devil Bat is dead. You don't have to worry about him anymore. Selina's first-person POV. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activities. Mr. Thomas had admitted Maggie and me to the best academy in Gotham. The academy was a far cry from the streets I was used to. The pristine halls, polished floors, and the neatly dressed students were a world away from my former life. It was challenging to blend in. I felt like a stray cat in a world of pampered pedigree pets. The students came from wealthy families, and I couldn't help but feel like an outsider. But I will make the most of this opportunity, not just for myself, but for Maggie too. My classes were demanding, and I found myself studying late into the night, trying to catch up with the curriculum. Bruce was a constant source of support, helping me with my studies and guiding me through the complexities of the academic world. He was patient and encouraging, making me believe that I could succeed. Mrs. Martha played a crucial role in my adjustment to this new life. She not only supported me academically, but also took care of Maggie and me like we were her own daughters. Her nurturing presence reminded me of the mother I could barely remember, and it filled my heart with warmth. During exam times, she would sit with me, offering her guidance and encouragement. Her calm and reassuring demeanor helped me manage my anxiety and perform to the best of my abilities. Martha made me feel like I had a family again, a sense of belonging that I had longed for during my days on the streets. I couldn't help but admire her for the strong, loving mother that she was, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that my own mother might have been a lot like her. This thought brought a bittersweet comfort to my heart. I was slowly getting the hang of the academic routine and the social dynamics of the academy. My life was changing in ways I never imagined. I made a few friends. Some of the students were kind and accepting, seeing past the rough exterior I had developed on the streets. It was a relief to have people to talk to share my thoughts and dreams with. One of my newfound friends, Lily, introduced me to the world of fashion. She was fascinated by the way I moved and thought it would be interesting to experiment with different styles. She helped me pick out outfits that were more in line with the academy's dress code, though I still held onto my love for black. Loneliness crept in as my days became consumed with studies, adapting to this new world, and my newfound friends. Bruce's absence was particularly felt. I missed our late-night conversations, his guidance, and the way he encouraged me to excel in my studies. Oh, and mostly our chats on the roof where he would bring me wine and snacks. The bond we had formed was special, and I yearned for more of those moments. Bruce's physical training had been intense, and his progress was nothing short of remarkable. I watched as he pushed himself through his training regimen. He is just amazing, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of admiration and envy. The sight of him running around the garden, his muscles growing more defined with each day, stirred something strange within me. It was a feeling I couldn't quite understand. I don't know this feeling. This weird squeeze in my heart. I have never felt anything like this before. He had come a long way from needing a cane to walking confidently and running with strength. I had witnessed his transformation firsthand, and it left me in awe. As I watched him, a part of me yearned to be as strong and capable as he was. I wanted to stand beside him, not as someone in need of protection but as an equal, someone who could contribute to our shared goals. The peculiar feeling in my heart was a mix of motivation and a longing to be more. Yet, I couldn't let my feelings of loneliness hold me back. I will do whatever is necessary to become useful to Bruce in the future. My friends noticed my preoccupation, especially Lily, who had become a close confidant. We are having a group home study at home. She nudged me and asked, "Oh, how you long for your lover when you see him across the room, and you say, how do I tell him how much I care?" Huh? Wah. What? I managed to blurt. I looked over at Bruce, and my eyes locked with his. There was something about the way he looked at me. It was almost like he was smitten. Wait. Smitten? As if he wants me. As if. Nope. Not going there. Nope. He just nodded and said, "Evening, ladies," and continued on with his running. I think my mouth fell open. That was definitely something. Maybe Lily was right. But now, I could not seem to shake that thought. Just looking at him ignited something deep within me. Shit. I can't think like that. I just want to help him and stand by his side. That's enough for me. That is, after all, the whole point, to become a tool, a useful object for Bruce to accomplish what he wants. A weapon. Besides, there was so much at stake. I couldn't allow my feelings to distract me. We had a deal. I will study and train in everything he tells me to. And that was enough, or so I thought. Little did I know how my feelings were only just starting to take root, to grow. After weeks and weeks of demanding practices and an unforgiving academic load, exhaustion had overcome me. But the good news is that the exam is over. I was given a few days to rest, all thanks to Martha. She pulled Bruce's ears for making me work too hard. Don't you dare put my daughter under the same intensity as you. Her exams just ended and you want her to learn martial arts? Are you insane? No dessert for you tonight. Be glad I didn't ban you from leaving the mansion. Her reprimand made the other maids chuckle, while a few secretly winked at me. Seeing her scold Bruce always lifted my spirits. But she has been calling me daughter all this time. I felt a sense of joy every time I heard those words. Should I call her mom instead of ma'am? My mind has been thinking non-stop these days. So here I am, lying on the roof, gazing up at the night sky as a soft summer breeze brushed against my face. I should sleep, but sleep seems to evade me. I miss those old days. Hey, a familiar voice made me jump up. It was Bruce, standing near the roof entrance with 2 beers in his hands. Want a drink? It's pretty strong. I can't help the smirk on my face. How could I ever say no to you? I smiled as he handed me the beer. You have no idea how hard it was to sneak past Alfred, he muttered as he took a seat beside me. Cheers. The end of exam is the best flavored wine of the year, I joked, before taking a big gulp. So, how are you doing? He asked and took a sip. My eyes gazed upon his handsome face, his beautiful clear blue eyes, his thick and messy black hair, his toned muscular physique. He is absolutely gorgeous. Damn, did I say that already? And then, our gazes connected, our eyes speaking what we were struggling to speak out loud. My heart skipped a beat. Shit. What is this? Good. I am sure I will top the exam, I replied with a grin on my face. Not exam, how are you doing? He urged to know. His smile slowly faded into a frown. My mouth stayed ajar. I was at a loss for words. Have you been eating well? Are you sleeping soundly? I noticed you have been a bit withdrawn lately. Your face has grown pale. Is there any problem? He reached his hand to touch mine but quickly stopped midway and placed it back on his lap. Seeing him a bit flustered made my heart go all warm. Oh, it's nothing bad. Late night studies and all got me a bit worn out. Is there anything I can do to help? He asked, his eyes searching mine. There is something you can do. Can I tell you the truth, though? I think I am starting to fall for you. Don't worry, I gently bumped him on the shoulders as I tried to stay composed. I sighed, and my head tilted toward him. A good night's sleep will probably get me back to normal. All right, he stood up after finishing his drink and extended a hand. You can't get a proper sleep outside. I took his hand to stand. We stared at each other for a bit before he quickly pulled his hand and coughed a bit nervously. Shall we? Wouldn't want Alfred to catch us up here with beer, huh? He awkwardly pointed his thumb towards the stairs. Definitely wouldn't want that. I giggled at his awkwardness. This night feels different somehow. We hid the bottles near the trash and went down the stairs and to our rooms. Before I went inside, I glanced behind me and noticed his eyes on mine. Before we could catch what we were feeling, a huge yawn escaped my mouth, and we burst into a loud laugh. Haha, good night, Selena. He shook his head, chuckling at our awkward encounter. Sweet dreams. With a wave, he opened the door to his room and entered, closing it. As the days passed, Bruce continued to devote himself to his training. His past life's knowledge of Tony Stark's training regimen played a significant role in his training. In the past, he used to train with veterans like Captain Carter, Black Widow, Black Panther, and others. Thanks to them, I can now get stronger than before, he mumbled under his breath. And I think I should thank this ring whenever it wakes up. I have healed rapidly without any side effects a coma patient faces after waking up. Heck, I feel even better than I have ever felt. I got freaking abs. It must be because of this ring. If one can do this much, I can't wait to get my hands on the remaining 9 rings. In the makeshift gym within Wayne Manor, he stood before a punching bag. He was shirtless, revealing the chiseled physique he had developed over weeks of rigorous training. Let's go, he began his practice. He threw jabs and crosses, working on his footwork and speed. Each punch was precise, controlled, and powerful. His moves were fluid. It was a form of fighting born from a mixture of his experiences, but that was when he was Tony Stark. Right now, he is Bruce Wayne, an 18-year-old boy who just woke up from a coma after 10 long years. That's why he needed to get used to his body. That's the key to surviving this new reality that was thrust on him. The time was ripe. He is young. He can get stronger than his previous life. Stronger. And better. He is young, but there is an advantage to his youthful age, to be able to have the speed of movement of a youth with the wisdom and strength of a veteran. His punches gradually picked up speed as he continued his workout. Sweat dripped down his bare chest as he pushed himself harder. His breathing was steady, and his focus sharp. Every move was calculated and deliberate. H.A. With a loud scream, he punched as hard as he could, sending the punching bag flying across the room. It crashed against the wall, causing dust to fly everywhere. Blood was dripping from his knuckles due to the impact, yet Bruce remained unfazed. He looked at his knuckles and smirked. This body is freaking weak. Damn it. If only I was a bit careful back then. Shit. 10 years. He walked to retrieve the punching bag, only to find Selena staring at him, dumbfounded. Your hand. She rushed towards Bruce and grabbed his injured hand. Ah, it's nothing. Just a small cut, he smiled and shrugged. Nothing? You're bleeding, Bruce. She exclaimed, clearly worried about him. Their eyes met once again, locking together, speaking what they struggled to express with their mouths. Bruce could not help but feel mesmerized by her beauty. Her green emerald eyes sparkled under the lights, captivating him. Her porcelain skin glowed, accentuating her delicate features. Bruce felt his heartbeat quicken as he gazed at her. Selena's presence was intoxicating, drawing him closer to her. He swallowed hard, trying to maintain his composure. It's okay, Selena. Really, it's just a small cut, he reassured her as he gently pulled his hand away. He doesn't want his feelings to interrupt his training. He must get stronger before the Black Mask's gang wreaks havoc in Gotham City. He needs to stop them, and all the other villains who are going to emerge in the future. And for that, he must keep training. Please, Bruce. Don't push yourself too hard, she pleaded as she followed him. I'm sure Mom would kill you if she finds out. He chuckled. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Besides, Alfred knows how to patch me up. She frowned and crossed her arms. If only you're not this stubborn. Hey. I'm not stubborn. You're doing your best without a single complaint, and don't you dare to say it's because of the deal between us. He raised his finger, stopping Selena from cutting in. I know you're doing all this because you want to. So, I too will do my best to achieve my goal. She heaved a sigh. I am doing this for you, Bruce. So that when you need me someday, I won't be useless. If Mom heard you saying that, she would slap you silly, he teased as he wrapped a bandage around his knuckles. Selena pouted. Shut up. What brings you here anyway? He asked. I was just passing by, she stuttered, averting Bruce's gaze. He raised his brow. Passing by, huh? He pulled up a new sandbag and tied it to the ceiling. Selena scratched her head awkwardly. Okay, fine. Alfred asked me to check on you and stop you if you decided to go crazy with your training. So you were spying on me, Bruce grinned playfully. Her cheeks flushed red. You bastard. Who said I'm spying on you? Humph. She huffed and stormed out of the gym. Dang. She looks cute when she's angry. He shook his head and focused on his training. He has already wasted enough time talking with Selena. There was still so much he needed to do. Time flew by, and Bruce continued his training. 3 months later. 3 months have passed since Bruce started training. During this period, he improved immensely. From simple workouts, he moved on to more complex routines. His body grew stronger, tougher, and faster. His stamina also increased significantly. Alfred kept a close eye on Bruce, making sure he ate right and slept well. But even though he does everything according to his schedule, Bruce never stops training. He trained day and night until exhaustion hit him. He has been working out for hours non-stop. Sweat poured down his muscular frame as he continued lifting weights. His muscles strained under the pressure, but Bruce remained focused. He gritted his teeth and pushed through. He is determined to reach his limit. He wants to become stronger and fast enough to fight crime. Bruce paused for a moment to catch his breath. He wiped the sweat from his brow with the towel that Alfred had brought him. He gratefully accepted the cold bottle of water, taking a long, refreshing drink. Thank you, Alfred, he said between sips, his chest heaving as he tried to regain his breath. Alfred watched him closely, concern etched in his features. Master Bruce, you've made remarkable progress in your training, but you mustn't push yourself too hard. You risk injury. Don't worry, Alfred. I know my body very well, Bruce reassured him. Besides, injuries happen. It comes with training. Alfred sighed, shaking his head slightly. Very well, Master Bruce. However, please remember to take breaks every now and then. Your health is important. He nodded. Sure thing, Alfred. With that said, he resumed his training. 1 month later, another month passed, and Bruce continued his rigorous routine. He has been pushing himself to the limits, training day and night. He did everything possible to strengthen his body and increase his endurance. He ate healthy foods and drank plenty of fluids. He exercised daily, building muscle mass and improving his overall fitness level. As a result, Bruce gained immense physical capabilities. His strength increased exponentially. His muscles became thicker and harder. His reflexes sharpened drastically, allowing him to react quicker than ever before. But right now, he needs a sparring partner. So, he asked his father to allow him to train with one of his veteran guards, who is proficient in close-quarter combat. "You want her to spar with you?" Thomas exclaimed incredulously. Bruce nodded. "Yes, Dad. I believe sparring with someone who is proficient in close-quarter combat would be beneficial to me." Thomas rubbed his chin thoughtfully, considering his request. "You do know she is the daughter of a war veteran. She won't show you any mercy," he warned Bruce. "That's exactly why I chose her, Dad. I need someone who won't hold back during the spar," he explained confidently. "Also, I need some instructions from her. Training alone isn't helping me anymore." Thomas sighed. "All right then. I'll allow her to train with you. But promise me you'll stop whenever you feel pain." He smiled brightly. "Thank you, Dad." Ilana Rodriguez, a seasoned warrior and martial artist, stood in the training room of Wayne Manor. She had been asked by Thomas Wayne to spar with Bruce, who was eager to test his newly acquired combat skills. Ilana had a reputation for being a fierce combatant, and she was proud of her skills. She had trained in various forms of martial arts and had seen combat in some of the world's most dangerous regions. Her demeanor was confident, and her movements were calculated. As she waited for Bruce, she couldn't help but wonder why Thomas had chosen her for this task. She had heard about the young man's intense training regimen and his desire to become proficient in close-quarter combat. Bruce had been making impressive progress, and she was curious to see just how far he had come. Soon, Bruce entered the training room, his body well-built. He wore a training outfit, ready for the sparring session. Ilana nodded in acknowledgement. "You looked ripped, Bruce," she commented. "How long was it?" "4 months or so, and look at you." Bruce smiled as he approached her. "Thanks, ma'am. But I am far from what I want to be." She arched an eyebrow. "Oh. And what do you want to achieve?" "To fill the gap of 10 years in the shortest amount of time," he replied honestly. Ilana frowned slightly before smiling. "Very ambitious, Bruce. Let's see if you have the mettle." He nodded as he got into position. "I am ready when you are, ma'am." She nodded, and the sparring session began. The training room was filled with the sounds of their movements, a dance of combat as they circled each other. Ilana made the first move, a quick jab towards his midsection. He easily evaded the attack, and she followed up with a punch to his face. He ducked, avoiding the blow, and countered with a kick to her leg. She blocked the attack and quickly moved in for another strike. She unleashed a flurry of strikes, testing his defenses. She aimed a high kick at his head, but he smoothly ducked and countered with a roundhouse kick to her side. She blocked it with her forearm and retaliated with a series of quick jabs. Bruce parried her strikes using his quick reflexes and footwork to maintain his position. He knew that he couldn't afford to let his guard down. As she lunged forward with a spinning back fist, he evaded it by pivoting to the side and delivering a powerful knee strike to her midsection. Ilana staggered backward, feeling the impact. "That's a good one." She praised him, "But we are just getting started." She quickly recovered, her combat experience shining through. She closed the distance between them, delivering a rapid combination of punches. Bruce weaved and bobbed, avoiding most of the strikes, but a jab landed against his cheek. He winced but pressed on. The spar continued, the two combatants engaging in a high-paced exchange. Ilana aimed a roundhouse kick at Bruce. He parried it, catching her leg and swiftly tripping her to the ground. She hit the mat but rolled back onto her feet with impressive agility. He didn't waste a moment and lunged forward, attempting a powerful hook punch. She deftly ducked under the strike and responded with a low kick to his legs, attempting to sweep him off his feet. He jumped, avoiding the sweeping kick, and landed gracefully on the balls of his feet. He spun, using the momentum to deliver a spinning kick of his own, which she blocked with her forearm. Their movements were like a beautifully choreographed dance, a dance that demanded precision and control. Bruce could feel the rhythm of the spar, and he couldn't help but sense that Ilana was holding back. Her strikes, although lightning-fast and precise, lacked the full force that he knew she was capable of. She was testing him, and seeing how far his skills had come. But this isn't enough. He wants to have a serious spar, and all she is doing is testing him. Is this all you got? He taunted her as he cracked his neck with a boring expression. I was expecting more from a veteran like you, but in the end, you're just an old 37-year-old unmarried woman who can't even get laid. His words cut deep, angering Ilana. She gritted her teeth, her eyes flashing with fury. She lunged forward, unleashing a series of vicious attacks. Bruce parried and evaded the blows, but he could feel the raw power behind them. Nice, this is working. It works every time. Man, I miss Peggy, he thought with a smirk. What? Did I hit a nerve? He taunted further. I mean, look at yourself. You are almost 40 and still single. No wonder you are getting weak with age. Ilana feigned a jab before delivering a powerful uppercut. Bruce evaded the strike, but her follow-up kick caught him in the ribs, knocking the wind out of him. He staggered backward, wincing in pain. But she wasn't done yet. She advanced, launching a relentless barrage of strikes. He blocked and parried the blows, but he could feel the power behind them. His arms were beginning to ache from the impacts. Bruce knew that he needed to change the flow of the spar, or he would be overpowered. As Ilana jumped up with her right leg up, aiming a powerful down kick to his head, he saw an opening. Instead of dodging or running back, he moved inside her range and slightly moved his head. Her kick landed on his shoulder instead of his head. Got ya. He saw the opening, and as her kick landed on his shoulder, he seized the opportunity. He grabbed her kicking leg and using his strength, he pushed it further upwards, causing her to lose her balance. But what he didn't expect was a sudden flip kick on his chin. Ilana used Bruce's momentum against him, flipping herself backward and delivering a powerful kick to his jaw. He staggered backward, his vision blurring momentarily. She quickly regained her footing and advanced, her fists flying. A hard punch in his gut caused him to double over in pain, but she wasn't finished. She followed up with a powerful elbow strike to his temple, sending him crashing to the ground. Huff. Huff. It's over, kid, she huffed in exhaustion. It's been a while since she had enjoyed a sparring session with someone who was able to keep up with her stamina. But Bruce's remark about her being single and old really irked her. The spar was over, and Ilana had won. Or so she thought. As she stood over Bruce, panting heavily, she saw a flash of movement. Before she could react, he swept her feet with his legs, causing her to fall over him. In a split second, his elbow appeared right before her nose, stopping less than an inch away from hitting it. Bruce smirked victoriously. It's over. He used his knee to support her upper torso and whispered near her ears, "You want to continue?" She gulped nervously as she felt his hot breath against her ear. She could feel his muscular body beneath her, and a strange sensation coursed through her body. She quickly pushed herself up, putting some distance between them. Bruce chuckled as he rose to his feet. Good fight. Ilana composed herself, hiding the emotions that were stirring within her. She cleared her throat. Yes, it was indeed a good match. Sorry about earlier. I was just trying to get you riled up to make you fight seriously, he apologized. She shook her head. No need to apologize, Bruce. That was a smart tactic. I should have been prepared for such provocation. They shared a smile, both feeling satisfied with the spar. Wow. His eyes fell on her white tank top. Her perky nipples poked through the thin fabric, thanks to the sweat produced during the spar. Here, he opened the mini fridge, grabbed a bottle of energy drink, and tossed it to her. She gratefully accepted it and took a sip. Thank you. Bruce noticed the beads of sweat dripping down her neck and chest. He couldn't help but admire her figure. Despite her age, she has a well-toned body with ample curves in all the right places. Her skin glistened with perspiration, accentuating her toned muscles. She noticed him gazing at her bust. See something you like, Bruce? She asked with a raised eyebrow. He snapped out of his trance. What's there not to like? He complimented her, a gorgeous woman with a perfect body and amazing fighting skills. You are truly a sight to behold, Ms. Rodriguez. Ha ha ha. Is that a new pickup line you just came up with? She teased him, because if it is, then it needs some work. Nope. Just stating some honest facts, he replied honestly. Yeah. Young man and their raging hormones, she scoffed. Bruce shrugged nonchalantly. Older women and their mature charms. Ilana laughed heartily. Touché. Bruce joined in the laughter as he walked towards her. He took a towel hanging on the wall and handed it to her. Thanks, she said as she wiped the sweat from her forehead. 4 months later. 4 months have passed, and Bruce's training had continued. He had achieved a level of physical and combat proficiency that was impressive, to say the least. His strength, speed, and endurance had all increased significantly. However, there was more to learn. While he had made remarkable progress in his training, Selena had also excelled in various aspects of her life, thanks to the opportunities provided by Thomas Wayne. Selena's academic performance had soared to new heights. Her dedication to her studies was unwavering, and she consistently earned top grades in her classes at the prestigious academy. With Bruce's assistance and Martha's guidance, she managed to catch up with the rigorous curriculum, demonstrating a keen intellect and a quick ability to learn. In addition to her academic achievements, she also honed her martial arts skills. At Bruce's request, Thomas arranged for her to receive specialized martial arts training. Under the guidance of an experienced martial arts instructor, she developed proficiency in various forms of self-defense and combat techniques. Her agility and precision in her movements became apparent as she embraced this new skill set. Amidst the transformations in their lives, one person who had undergone a unique journey was Maggie. The young girl had discovered her passion for cooking. It started with her curiosity in the kitchen, watching the family's skilled chefs at work. She observed how they turned raw ingredients into mouth-watering dishes, and it fascinated her. With the support of Martha, Maggie began to dabble in the culinary arts. Martha had been an excellent mentor, sharing her knowledge of cooking with the young girl. Her journey into the world of cooking had begun. Thomas's continued success in the political arena led to his 11th consecutive election victory. His unwavering commitment to Gotham City's improvement and his numerous charitable initiatives had earned him the trust and support of the city's residents. Each election year, his popularity seemed to grow, making him an indispensable figure in Gotham's political landscape. With another term secured, he remained dedicated to his vision for the city. He channeled his resources into various projects, aiming to uplift the less fortunate and revitalize neglected neighborhoods. His charitable efforts were not limited to infrastructure and social programs. He also extended his support to the arts and culture, enriching the city's vibrant tapestry. Amidst his demanding training schedule, Bruce found solace in moments of artistic expression. He had taken some time between his rigorous workouts to focus on a new project. As Wayne Enterprises was preparing to launch a series of cutting-edge car models at an upcoming event, he took on the task of designing the new vehicles. His passion for engineering and design had been a constant presence in his life, even before he woke up in this alternate reality. Drawing on his previous experiences and knowledge as Tony Stark, he channeled his creativity into crafting sleek and innovative car models that would be showcased at the event. The main attraction of the event, however, was the announcement of the first batch of limited edition Batmobiles. Bruce plans to launch these Batmobiles in the market beforehand. So, in the future when he becomes Batman, the police will have a hard time tracing him since there will be many cars like Batmobile already on the road. If the criminals want to target him, they will be confused thinking who to target among these Batmobiles. Besides, considering the cost of the car, only powerful and rich people will buy them. Hence, criminals will have to target those powerful and rich people rather than targeting Batman. And who deals with more criminals other than those rich, powerful people of Gotham? Police. Therefore, indirectly, Bruce will help the police reduce crime rates. And if his plan succeeds, the criminals will fight among themselves instead of targeting innocent people. Also, he can use this opportunity to gather intelligence from these powerful people about criminal activities, all thanks to the special chip installed in each Batmobile. And most importantly, selling these cars will generate money for his future business ventures. In fact, Bruce plans to use the money generated from the sales of these Batmobiles to finance his future technological inventions. If he wants to build his perfect arc reactor, then he needs huge funding, which could easily be achieved through these car sales. Now, he has more freedom in what he does. But he kept himself hidden from the prying eyes of the board members, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce at them. To achieve that, he has already started to lay down a plan: the creation of an AI. In his free time, he continued to perfect the code. A mistake like Ultron's cannot be repeated again. Training room. Bruce and Ilana continued their sparring session, but this time they shifted their focus to grappling techniques. They circled each other, maintaining a low stance, ready to engage. Ilana initiated the move by attempting a takedown. She aimed to grab Bruce's leg, but he swiftly sidestepped, avoiding her grip. He countered by attempting a single-leg takedown of his own. She used her agility to step back and maintain her balance. Their movements were fluid, a dance of skill and strength. They exchanged holds and attempts at takedowns, each one countering the other's moves with precision. Bruce's agility and Ilana's experience created an interesting dynamic in their practice. Bruce went for a double-leg takedown this time, but Ilana sprawled, shifting her weight to prevent him from taking her down to the mat. She then attempted a front headlock, trying to control him, but he quickly slipped out and maneuvered behind her. She recognized the opportunity for a rear naked choke, but he defended by tucking his chin and fighting her grip. With a powerful bridge and roll, he managed to escape her hold and reversed their positions. Now, he was in control. He secured a dominant position, transitioning to side control and then attempting a Kimura lock. Ilana resisted. She managed to roll them over, escaping the submission hold. The grappling session continued for several minutes, with both participants testing their skills and adaptability. Ilana's experience allowed her to anticipate Bruce's moves and counter effectively, while Bruce's agility and quick thinking gave him an edge in some situations. As the session neared its end, they found themselves in a neutral position, catching their breath. They shared a mutual respect for each other's abilities and improvement. The training had been intense, and they both were enjoying these heated sessions. Phew. To think in just a few months you've improved this much. You're really something, Bruce, Ilana complimented as she prepared herself for the final round. You sound impressed, Bruce remarked while regaining his composure. I am. You see, there are very few people who received a compliment from me in such a short amount of time. She smiled proudly as she stretched her muscles for the final round. He chuckled. Then, I guess I deserve a nice reward after winning this last round, huh? He grinned mischievously. She raised an eyebrow. Reward, huh? What do you have in mind? She asked curiously. Something sweet, perhaps, Bruce replied as he lunged forward and initiated the final round. The final round of their sparring session began, and Bruce couldn't help but be a bit flirtatious. After spending months with her, he knew Ilana was a tough and experienced warrior, but there was a playful side to their dynamic. As they circled each other, Bruce winked and said, "How about a dinner date? You've been pushing me hard in these training sessions. I think you owe me a nice meal." Ilana chuckled as she parried one of his strikes. "Oh, really? And what would we be having for dinner, Mr. Wayne?" "A nice home-cooked meal, and maybe we could watch a nice movie after that." She couldn't help but smile at his proposition. Their sparring sessions had created a unique bond between them, and his charm was not lost on her. "A home-cooked meal and a movie, huh? Well, that does sound tempting," she replied as they continued their heated exchange of strikes and counters. "But I am not much of a cook. It's the company that matters. Besides, we can always cook together." Bruce saw an opening and lunged in her range, trying to pin her down on the floor. She managed to disarm Bruce's attempts at humor by skillfully countering his moves. She then took his momentary distraction as an opportunity to sweep his legs, causing him to lose balance. She quickly mounted him and secured a dominant position. Ilana smiled as she replied, "Cooking together does sound like fun, but only if you can handle the heat in the kitchen." Bruce struggled beneath her firm grip, trying to break free, but to no avail. Her technique was impeccable. She maintained full control, preventing him from reversing their positions. Seeing no way to escape, Bruce smiled and replied, "I can handle the heat in the kitchen just fine. And elsewhere too." He winked playfully. She laughed. "Now, that sounds promising. But let's take things one step at a time, shall we?" Bruce nodded, tapping out. His entire body was aching from exhaustion, but he enjoyed every minute of their sparring session. "Deal." She released him from her hold and offered him a hand. They stood up and shook hands, sealing the deal. Meanwhile, Black Mask's hideout. The Wayne Enterprise is about to hold an event. It's time. Make the final preparations. 2 days later, Bruce's room. Over 8 months and yet no response, Bruce wondered as he examined the lightning ring. The last time it worked was when he teleported back into the alley near the manor with Selena. After that, the ring went silent. He knows that there is a certain cooldown period, but it's been far too long. He stretched his body and turned around toward the glass window, hugging his pillow. His thoughts drifted back to the Marvel world. The faces of his friends and family flashed before his eyes. He couldn't help but wonder about the people he had left behind, especially his beloved wife, Pepper Potts. As he gazed out of the window, his thoughts were filled with images of Pepper. He remembered her strong and determined personality, her intelligence, and her unwavering support for him, both as Tony Stark and Iron Man. They had been through so much together, facing countless challenges and dangers. How is Pepper doing over there? Bruce mumbled to himself. He couldn't shake the worry that crept into his mind. It's been a long time since he saw her. He imagined Pepper continuing to manage Stark Industries with the same efficiency and grace. She was a woman of immense talent and capability. But deep down, he missed her presence, her voice, and her warm smiles. Bruce couldn't help but wonder if she was worried about him, just as he was about her. In this new reality, he had built new relationships and made friends, but the bond he had with Pepper was unique. She was not just his partner in business and life. She was his anchor, the one who kept him grounded. He sighed, realizing that he had no way of knowing how she was faring in the Marvel Universe. The uncertainty gnawed at him. He missed her more than he could express. Bruce wished he could reach out to her, to hear her voice, to tell her that he was safe and that he missed her. But for now, he was stuck in this alternate reality, focused on his training and the challenges he faced here. The lightning ring that had brought him here remained silent, and there was no way to teleport to the Marvel world. As he hugged his pillow, Bruce couldn't help but hope that one day, he would find a way back to Marvel Earth, meet Pepper and the others, and finish his unfinished business. The next morning, Bruce awoke to the soft rays of the sun streaming through his window. The thoughts of the previous night still lingered in his mind, especially the yearning to hear from Pepper. He knew he had to put those thoughts aside for now and face the day. As he stretched and prepared to get out of bed, he heard a gentle knock on his bedroom door. "Come in," he called out. The door creaked open, and Alfred entered with his usual composed demeanor. He approached Bruce and spoke in his refined British accent. "Good morning, Master Bruce. Your father wishes to have a conversation with you in his study. He asked that you join him at your earliest convenience." He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the grogginess that clung to him in the early morning. He glanced at the clock, which confirmed it was indeed early. What does he want? It's only 7 a.m. His father's request for a conversation at this hour seemed unusual, but he knew it must be important. "All right, Alfred," he replied, still fighting the remnants of sleep. "I'll be down in a few minutes. Tell Dad I'll join him." Alfred nodded and silently left the room, closing the door behind him. Bruce took a moment to freshen up, washing his face to shake off the drowsiness. He dressed in casual attire and made his way toward the study. "Morning, Dad," he greeted as he entered the room, trying to read his father's expression. "You wanted to talk?" Thomas nodded, motioning for him to take a seat. Once they were both settled, he took a deep breath, his expression heavy with concern. "Bruce, there's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice steady but filled with regret. He reached into his desk and pulled out a worn sketchbook. Bruce's eyes widened as he recognized it. It was the sketchbook he had owned when he was just 3 years old, filled with his early drawings and ideas. He explained, his voice tinged with guilt. "I took it without informing you, and for that, I'm deeply sorry, son." "What is he talking about?" "I intentionally gave it to him so that he could develop the first version of the arc reactor to give me a rough idea about the technology of this world." Bruce thought, confused. "I took the sketchbook not long after you gave it to me, and I started working on your ideas," Thomas confessed. "You see, the concept of the arc reactor was something I found intriguing. I believe it has the potential to bring about positive changes for our city and the world. So, I dedicated myself to bringing your vision to life." "I know. Lucius already told me about it at the party. And why the hell is he sorry?" Bruce wondered. "Don't tell me he has been feeling guilty of stealing his son's work all this time." "Shit. This is kinda weird. I can't even tell him that I intentionally gave it to him to check out the advancement of this world's technology. I know you have heard it from Lucius, but I wanted to tell you in person. Every day I wanted to tell this to you, but I just couldn't. I was afraid that you would hate me," Thomas confessed. "Heck, I even tried to oppress your growth in fear of my enemies targeting you. You must have noticed it since you were always a bright kid. The board members, those bunch of greedy owls. You have no idea the things they have done just to uncover the one behind the reactor. I am sorry, Bruce." Thomas Wayne's confession hung in the air, and Bruce was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The sketchbook, a memento from his childhood, held the seeds of his brilliant invention, the arc reactor. He had entrusted it to his father, not knowing what path it would lead them down. Wow. What are you talking about? I can understand your situation. That's why I didn't say anything. I thought you knew that. Besides, I was stuck in bed for 10 long years. So don't worry about it." Bruce raised his brows in confusion. trying to fake his expression. As for the book, I left the blueprints among the pages for you to understand my ideas and develop them. I even drew arrows and highlighted the parts you needed to focus on developing it. Don't tell me you just built it following only that piece of paper. Huh. Thomas blinked in surprise, clearly not expecting Bruce's reaction. He had anticipated anger and resentment, not understanding or acceptance. To think he has grown up so much. I am really proud of you, Bruce. You have no idea the amount of pressure just lifted from my heart. Thomas scrutinized the sketchbook, flipping through the pages, looking for the arrows and highlights Bruce mentioned. No wonder it didn't work during the trial phase, he thought. Wait, this book was for me? Thomas asked, confused, trying to grasp the situation. You mean I didn't steal it, right? Bruce nodded, a genuine smile spreading across his face. No, Dad, you didn't steal it. I gave it to you. I wanted you to work on those ideas. Thomas let out a breath of relief, his earlier tension dissipating. I see. I had no idea it was meant for me. All these years. Haha. Why didn't you say so? I forgot, Bruce chuckled, remembering that night. Mom called me to brush my teeth. Then I went to bed. I was 3 back then. I was a kid. And kids forget things. Then the coma. I was so busy getting back to my feet that it almost slipped my mind. Bruce's revelation brought a sense of relief to the room. Thomas had carried the weight of guilt for years, thinking he had taken his son's ideas without permission. The air in the study lightened as the misunderstanding was cleared up. I should have said it sooner. Let's just forget about that, yeah? And focus on the important matter. Bruce pointed at the book. He couldn't help but laugh at the innocence of a 3-year-old Bruce entrusting him with a sketchbook. Well, it seems I misunderstood your intentions, my boy. Bruce smiled. It's all right, Dad. Hey, can you show me the prototype? You still have one, right? Of course, Bruce, Thomas replied with a relieved smile. I'll have Lucius bring it up so you can take a look at it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Bruce nodded in agreement, genuinely curious about how his father had interpreted and developed his ideas over the years. This revelation had lifted a weight off both their shoulders, and he was eager to see the result of their combined efforts. Location: Lucius Fox's warehouse. Bruce and Thomas arrived at Lucius Fox's warehouse, eager to see the prototype of the arc reactor he had created in his younger years. The warehouse was filled with various pieces of technology, from advanced vehicles to experimental gadgets. Lucius Fox greeted them as they entered a section of the warehouse dedicated to the prototype. The massive structure loomed before them, a towering structure of gleaming metal and intricate components. It was an impressive sight. Here you go. Fox handed Bruce the blueprint of the improvised version of the arc reactor. Bruce eagerly accepted the blueprint from him and carefully examined it. As he studied the design, his eyes scanned the intricate details, and his mind began to make comparisons between the technology of this world and the Marvel universe he was familiar with. He couldn't help but notice that, while the prototype was impressive by the standards of this world, it was evident that they were still behind in certain key areas. The design of the arc reactor lacked the refined structure he had envisioned, and the energy output seemed less efficient. How much energy has it generated in the trial phase? Bruce asked after carefully examining the details. Lucius responded. The prototype produced approximately 1.3 gigajoules of energy. It was a significant achievement. That's impressive for something using a different core, he said as his eyes fell on the melted part of the reactor. Palladium is very expensive and rare, Lucius explained. We didn't have the budget to use it for mass production, so we tried to use an alternate solution. This design wasn't made for mass production. And using a different element, plus the heating capacitor, is just not up to the mark. You are lucky you didn't blow up the entire city, Bruce commented. Next time you try to build something like this, make sure to keep it away from those board members and follow the exact instructions. You think you can build a working one if I provide you with everything you need? Thomas asked with a curious expression. The Black Masks gang has been quiet for a while now, and he was having his doubts about the cryptic message. But lately, he noticed some changes in the city. The small-timer criminals have all disappeared from the streets. Then, there have been 4 breakouts at the Arkham Asylum. And to make things worse, there have been reports of people disappearing lately. Thomas knew that the gang was on the move and they were planning something big. So he wants to use the arc reactor just in case the Black Masks gang destroys the power grid, leaving Gotham in darkness, regardless the cost. Bruce raised his eyebrows. He knows that if he were to create the perfect arc reactor, he would first need to develop an AI from scratch. He needs to recreate Jarvis. Yes, regardless of the cost, he confirmed with determination. If we can create a reliable arc reactor, it might be a crucial asset to protect the city in times of crisis. Crisis, you say? So they have started moving, huh? Bruce mumbled. How do you know? Thomas asked, surprised. I have my ways. He grinned. Anyway, I guess they are planning on blinding us with darkness first, right? The power grid will probably be their first target. Yes, Thomas replied, but we still don't know what they want or where they are hiding. Isn't that a simple question? Bruce pointed at him. You took down almost all the crime families in the last 10 years. The corrupt politicians and businessmen have lost a significant amount of power and money they have been illegally collecting over the years. Now that you have taken their cash cow, isn't it obvious what they want? Thomas's eyes widened in surprise. All this time he has been eliminating the criminals and corrupt officials, but the businessmen were an entirely different matter. While he managed to destroy most of the illegal operations, he couldn't risk a financial crash by eliminating all the corrupt businessmen in one go. So, he decided to slowly cripple their holdings and influence until he reaches the final boss. But he never considered the possibility that the remaining greedy bastards could join forces and form a syndicate behind his back, and even become as desperate as to call an outside gang into the city. Those greedy bastards. Thomas cursed. It's not them. He turned towards Bruce confused. What do you mean? It's not them who called the Black Masks gang into the city, Bruce stated. Then who else could it be? Thomas frowned. Bruce shrugged his shoulders. Who knows? Could be the main boss himself, or maybe someone else. Regardless, I guess we will find out soon enough. Thomas sighed in frustration. He has eliminated dozens of crime families and destroyed corrupt officials, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reach the top brass. They always remained hidden in the shadows, pulling the strings behind the scenes. You have any idea where they could be hiding? He asked. How would I know? But if it was me and I was planning to launch a large-scale attack on Gotham, I would make sure to achieve my first goal, Bruce replied with a smirk, pointing at the arc reactor. Gotham's power station and all the area around it. I would plan my men at every corner, every nook and cranny. Maybe you can grab some of them and interrogate. And the attack time? Thomas asked with a calm expression. When do you think 80% of criminals like them attack? When all the rich people gather together in one place, Thomas answered confidently. It would be easier to get what they want if they take them as hostage. Exactly. When they are the most vulnerable and defenseless, he smiled. The upcoming Wayne Enterprise car show, Thomas concluded. He nodded. That would be my second target. I am 100% on their list, Thomas added. Third target. Police headquarters and all the strategic locations? Thomas continued. Fourth target. Arkham Asylum? Thomas frowned. When was the last time you heard from the asylum? Did anyone escape lately? Bruce grinned. They tried, but were killed on the spot by GCPD officers. They needed a distraction which they have already created targeting the asylum. Bruce interrupted him. Now the police have their hands full and spread thin throughout the city. Isn't this a perfect plan? A blind city, fewer police, hostages, distraction. Do I need to continue? Thomas clenched his fist tightly. The more Bruce talked, the angrier he got. He couldn't believe how stupid he was. How did he miss all these signs? Sitting behind the desk as the mayor and leaving his vigilante life as the devil bat behind was supposed to help him manage the city better. But it seems, it only blinded him to the truth. Damn it! Damn it! Thomas slammed his fist against a nearby wall. He knows he has gone rusty after all these years without fighting crime. His body has grown weaker, and his skills have dulled. If he wants to save the city, he has to train and get ready for battle. He promised to leave that life behind, but now he doesn't have a choice. Gotham needs him again, and he has to answer her call. Why are you angry? I just gave you my deduction. If I am right, then isn't it that the one who should be angry is the Black Mask? After all, you are the mayor who controls this city. Start by eliminating their targets one by one. Meanwhile, I will try my best to create this arc reactor. We still have 2 months till the car show anyway. Bruce patted Thomas's shoulder. 2 months. Thomas mumbled. Not enough time. They might start it early if they feel threatened. Good point. Then give me 1 month, Bruce suggested. Thomas looked at him surprised. 1 month? Can you do it? Can I not? Bruce smirked. I am a genius who made a freaking remote control car at the age of 3. Now that I have access to advanced technology, creating something like this arc reactor is child's play. Thomas chuckled. Fine, 1 month it is. After that, I will attack them head-on and eliminate every single one of them. I have to delay the car show. Bruce's new lab, Wayne Manor. Bruce's new lab was a state-of-the-art facility within Wayne Manor, equipped with cutting-edge technology, advanced computer systems, and the latest tools for research and development. It was a place where he could focus on creating the perfect arc reactor. But there was another project that had been on his mind as well: the rebirth of Jarvis, the AI he had relied on in the Marvel Universe. The AI had been an invaluable part of his life, assisting him in various aspects, from managing his suits to providing information and analysis. Bruce knew that if he wanted to have the same level of support in this new reality, he needed to recreate Jarvis. He sat down at the computer terminal, his fingers dancing across the keyboard. Lines of code flowed on the screen, complex algorithms and intricate structures taking shape. He was building the foundation for the AI that would soon become his new digital companion. The code he was crafting was a complex web of interconnected systems. Time seemed to blur as he delved deeper into the creation process. Debugging, testing, and refining his code became his daily routine. With each passing day, the AI he was creating became more sophisticated and responsive. In addition to his dedicated work on recreating the AI, he spent his time collaborating with a special team his father and Lucius had appointed to work on the improved arc reactor. The team consisted of brilliant engineers and scientists who were experts in their respective fields. Together, they worked tirelessly to enhance the arc reactor's design. Bruce's expertise in advanced technology and his deep knowledge of the Stark tech provided valuable insights. He discussed various aspects of the design with the team, offering suggestions to improve energy efficiency and safety. The team was enthusiastic and highly motivated, inspired by the challenge of creating a reliable and powerful arc reactor. Their collective efforts allowed them to address the shortcomings of the previous prototype and refine the design to meet the highest standards. As days turned into weeks, both projects progressed simultaneously. All right, it's done. Time to connect it with the internet. With a sense of accomplishment, Bruce completed the coding for the AI that would become his new digital companion. He leaned back in his chair and took a moment to appreciate the work he had done. He initiated the connection to the internet, and the AI came to life. Lines of code interacted with the digital world, establishing a link to the vast expanse of information and communication that the internet provided. The AI's virtual presence emerged on the screen, represented by a dynamic and fluid interface. Bruce couldn't help but feel a sense of familiarity as he interacted with the AI. It was like welcoming an old friend back into his life, albeit in a new form. Shut down, he ordered. Affirmative. System shutting down. Okay, everything looks good. Time to double-check safety measures. Don't want another Ultron incident. He wasn't about to repeat the mistakes of the past. He had learned from the dangers of unchecked AI and ensured that his new creation remained under his control. He proceeded to check the safety measures he had implemented. The fail-safe mechanisms he had implemented were a combination of redundant codes and secure, isolated hardware systems. In the event that the AI exhibited any behavior that deviated from its intended purpose or became a threat, these mechanisms would swiftly intervene to neutralize the threat. Let's improvise a bit. Satisfied with the safeguards in place, Bruce continued his work, focusing on the AI's ethical parameters. He configured the AI to adhere to a strict code of ethics, preventing it from taking actions that could cause harm to individuals or society as a whole. The AI was programmed to prioritize human well-being and safety above all else. He also incorporated a real-time monitoring system to keep a constant watch on the AI's activities. Any deviations from its ethical guidelines would trigger an alert, allowing Bruce to take immediate action if necessary. With the safety measures in place, Bruce initiated the final step, the AI's activation. "Welcome, Jarvis," Bruce said as the AI's virtual presence fully came to life on the screen. "Good day, sir," the AI replied with its smooth and composed voice. "Resume the auto-learning process," he ordered. "Affirmative, sir." Jarvis immediately began its auto-learning process. It scanned vast amounts of data from the internet, absorbing information at an incredible speed. It was designed to adapt and evolve, continually improving its capabilities and expanding its knowledge base. 1 week, 5 days till the deadline. In the lab, he meticulously worked on the arc reactor's design, pushing the boundaries of current technology. The team of engineers and scientists under his guidance was equally dedicated, laboring diligently to bring the project to fruition. Day and night, they fine-tuned the arc reactor's blueprint. Every detail was scrutinized, and every component was tested for efficiency and safety. The prototype was taking shape, and Bruce could feel the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. As the days passed, the arc reactor evolved into a powerful and stable energy source. It surpassed the capabilities of the previous prototype, providing a substantial energy output while maintaining safety standards. The core element, palladium, was meticulously integrated, ensuring the reactor's reliability. Bruce stood before the completed arc reactor, now a somewhat compact and efficient device. It emitted a soft, steady hum, a testament to the energy it contained. He reached out and brushed his hand over the polished surface, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "Jarvis, perform a full system scan on the arc reactor," he instructed. Scanning initiated, Jarvis replied, its digital presence moving swiftly through the arc reactor's intricate components. It analyzed every facet, checking for potential flaws or irregularities. As the scan progressed, Jarvis provided real-time data on the arc reactor's status. Bruce's eyes were fixed on the screen, and he watched as the results began to appear. The structural integrity is well within safety margins. Energy output remains stable, and there are no anomalies in the palladium core, the AI reported. He nodded in satisfaction. The arc reactor was performing as expected, and the safety measures they had put in place were functioning effectively. "Excellent," he remarked. "Now, let's run some stress tests. I want to see how it performs under various conditions." 3 days till the deadline. The arc reactor had undergone a series of rigorous stress tests over the past days, and now Thomas, Bruce, and Lucius stood before the completed marvel. It was a compact device, its gleaming surface reflecting the overhead lights in the lab. The stress tests had proven the arc reactor's resilience and efficiency, even under extreme conditions. It was a reliable energy source that could provide power to Gotham City. Lucius, with a sense of pride, remarked, "I must say, Bruce, the improvements you suggested have made a significant difference. The arc reactor is now a remarkable piece of technology. With proper maintenance, it can provide unlimited energy." Bruce mused as he checked the datapad. "This is incredible." Thomas patted Bruce's back. "I am proud of you, son." Bruce grinned with satisfaction. "Well, I did my part. For now, keep it under tight security. We don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. And I think it's about time you start plucking the gang's feathers one by one." Later that night, Bruce basked in the warm embrace of the bath, letting the soothing water wash away the stress and fatigue that had accumulated over the past month. It had been a relentless cycle of work and preparation, with the creation of the arc reactor and the rebirth of Jarvis demanding his utmost attention. It feels great to relax a little." He stretched his arms in the air and sank further into the bathtub, allowing his thoughts to wander. He let out a deep breath, releasing all the pent-up tension in his body. His muscles ached pleasantly from the heat. The soothing atmosphere created by the ambient light and the aroma of the bath bombs caused him to experience a unique tranquility, unnoticed by him till recently. He remembered the cold steel interior and clinical vibe of his small lab, a far cry from the luxuriant spa-like bathing experience he was enjoying now. In comparison, this is a true paradise, he muttered. As he relaxed, his eyes fell on the door. He could hear someone fidgeting with the lock, and for a moment he wondered who could it possibly be. But then again, in Wayne Manor with all the guards and security, there could only be one person. The doorknob suddenly turned, and the door opened just a crack. Then, a familiar face appeared in the opening, peering into the bathroom with curiosity. "I will jump on you if you dare to peep inside any further, Selina," he jested as he stood up in full glory, causing her to flush red and turn away quickly, hiding her flustered face. "What are you doing here?" "The door was open, I swear," she replied quickly and defensively. He could still see that a part of her face was looking his way. Her eyes gazed at him, following the trail of water down his body. "Well, since you are already here, feel free to join in." He pointed at the other end of the tub and observed with a smile as she entered the bathroom and settled down at the far end of the bathtub, after stripping down and dropping her clothes in the laundry basket. Her arms were around her chest, covering her bosom from his sight. And he, a gentleman at heart, looked at her face while not trying to stare. She soon got a hold of herself, and her gaze locked onto his eyes. Selena's gaze traveled down his body and lingered on his firm chest and ripped abdominal muscles. She imagined running her fingers over his washboard abs and felt a rush of heat between her thighs. Her breathing quickened as she struggled to control herself. She tried to ignore her intense desire for him, but she couldn't. Her eyes flicked up and locked with his own. She froze, mesmerized by the intensity of his gaze. There was an animalistic hunger reflected in his pupils, and she could tell that it wasn't the gentle type. Bruce closed his eyes and leaned back. "So, how are you doing?" he asked with his usual calm tone. Fine, but you look dead tired." She noticed the black bags under his eyes. His usually relaxed posture was gone, replaced by an apparent tiredness in every muscle of his body. "Just what were you working on lately? I barely get to see you other than dinner time." "Something important," he evaded with an excuse. "That's the most basic and the vaguest answer." She sighed with a disappointed look. "You still don't trust me, huh? You are avoiding me. You wouldn't be here in the same bathtub with me if I didn't trust you," he retorted. Or maybe, you couldn't pass out the chance of seeing me naked," she teased with a smirk. "I've seen plenty of women naked," he shrugged nonchalantly. "Oh really? From what I heard, you were in a coma for 10 years and everyone says your mind is that of an 8-year-old boy," she chuckled lightly. "Would you believe me if I said that I am actually a reincarnated adult?" he asked with a mysterious smile. Selena stared at him skeptically. "Reincarnated adult, yeah right?" She rolled her eyes. "You act like most adults. And Alfred says you always acted like an adult ever since you learned how to talk, since you are a genius and your brain is superior compared to normal people." Bruce laughed. "Alfred exaggerates too much sometimes." "No, I agree with him. Sometimes I feel like you are older than your age. The way you talk, the way you drink wine. Everything about you. If you don't mind me asking it, how was it?" Selena questioned curiously. "In a coma?" He raised a brow. "Yeah. What was it like?" she inquired. Bruce thought for a moment before answering. "It was kinda weird." "Weird?" Selena repeated in surprise. "Did you dream anything? Were you conscious the whole time? I mean, your senses weren't blocked, right?" Bruce shook his head. "I had dreams. Dreams about many things. But those weren't the weird parts. The weirdest thing was the fact that I wasn't aware of the passage of time. It felt like only a few hours had passed, even though 10 years had actually passed." Selena's eyes widened in shock. "Wow, only a few hours. Yeah, maybe a few days, give or take. But it was definitely not 10 years for me. It was like I woke up from a long nap. To be honest, I still feel like I was asleep for only a few hours," he admitted with a chuckle. "So you are still 8-year-old kid with a genius brain even though you are 18? Selena teased once again. Bruce shrugged. "Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I am a 38-year-old man trapped in an 8-year-old kid's body. Or maybe I am an 88-year-old grandpa with an 8-year-old's body. Maybe I am neither of those." He gave her a mysterious smile. "Or maybe, I am all of those at the same time." Selena stared at him in confusion. "Ag. I am gonna get a headache. Anyway, you shouldn't push yourself that hard. Even geniuses need to sleep, you know," she advised worriedly. "Oh, you seem worried about me," Bruce smirked playfully. Selena flushed slightly. Who wouldn't be worried about the heir of the company that provides our livelihood? If you collapse one day, we will be jobless, homeless, and penniless. I am not taking over the business anytime soon. I will let Dad handle all those headaches," he waved dismissively. She stared at him inquisitively. "Really? Most people would jump on the idea of inheriting that much money. I am not like most people. I have certain goals, as I mentioned when we first met," he stated firmly. She tilted her head curiously. "Yeah, I remember. But you never said what those goals are. Care to share?" She pressed with interest. "I will, but only after you finish your training," he answered mysteriously. She pouted cutely. "That's unfair." "Why wait?" "Because my goals require your help. Your training is also a part of my goal. So it's better to wait until you are ready," he explained vaguely. She groaned in frustration. "You are so annoying." She splashed some water towards him angrily. Bruce raised his arms to block the splash. "Hey." Selena smiled mischievously. "What? Can't take a little splash." She splashed some more water towards him. He glared at her playfully. "Don't start something you can't finish." She grinned challengingly. Who said I can't finish it? She splashed more water towards him. Bruce narrowed his eyes dangerously. All right, you asked for it. He moved quickly and grabbed her shoulders, then dunked her underwater. Selena yelped in surprise before submerging underwater. She opened her eyes and saw Bruce grinning above the surface. She grabbed his arms and pulled him underwater along with her. Furthermore, she could feel him pressing against her belly underwater, and she blushed furiously. His face was dangerously close to her own, and she could see the playful glint in his eyes through the clear water. Bruce leaned forward, sealing her lips with his own underwater. Selena froze momentarily in shock before kissing him back passionately. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him closer as their tongues danced together in the heated kiss underwater. They emerged from the water gasping for air. Their lips parted, leaving trails of saliva between them. Selena gazed into his eyes lustfully. Bruce. She whispered breathlessly. His expression softened as he caressed her cheek lovingly. Sorry. I crossed the line, he apologized sincerely. She shook her head slowly. No, don't apologize. It was nice. He smiled warmly. Good. Because I enjoyed it very much. Selena closed her mouth with her hand, trying to muffle her moans unsuccessfully. Bruce smiled mischievously, grabbing her wrist, and removing her hand from her mouth. Don't hold back your voice, he commanded huskily. Let me hear you scream my name. Someone might hear us. Selena protested weakly, struggling to suppress her desire. He bit her earlobe, nibbling gently, causing her to shudder violently. She came instantly. He could feel her warm liquid even in the tub filled with water. Selena panted heavily, resting her forehead against his shoulder, catching her breath. Did you just come from that? Bruce teased bemusedly. Selena blushed bright red as she quickly jumped down from the bathtub. She quickly threw her clothes on her body, covering herself. Bruce watched her bemusedly as she nearly stumbled down due to shaking knees. Damn it. She cursed. Hey, careful now, Bruce warned concernedly, jumping out of the tub and quickly catching her in his arms. I will hit you. She threatened, embarrassed, hitting his chest weakly. Bruce chuckled lightly, holding her tightly in his arms. What's wrong? Are you mad at me? Selena buried her face in his chest, refusing to meet his eyes. I idiot. That was my first kiss and orgasm. How can I not get mad? She mumbled shyly. I wanted it to be special. Not in a bathtub. And you ruined it. He laughed heartily, patting her head affectionately. Sorry. I got carried away. How about I take you on a date tomorrow? Selena looked up, meeting his gaze hesitantly. Date. She repeated, hopefully. Yeah, a real date. Let's go somewhere private where no one knows us. Just you and me, he promised, smiling reassuringly. Dinner table. Thomas was working late today, so Alfred took his food to his study room. On the dining table, Bruce, Selena, Martha, and Maggie sat eating dinner together. Tonight, barbecue ribs were served along with some salad and French fries. Everyone was eating the dinner while chatting casually except Selena, who kept stealing glances at Bruce occasionally. Her face turned red whenever their eyes met, and she immediately averted her gaze looking elsewhere. Maggie noticed Selena's odd behavior and glanced between the two suspiciously. She narrowed her eyes, glaring daggers at Bruce. He ignored her, completely focusing only on eating his meal without sparing her any attention whatsoever. Maggie scowled, irritably glaring at Selena instead. Martha frowned, glancing at the three teenagers. Are you guys fighting or something? She questioned, sternly raising her voice slightly. You two look tensed. Did something happen? Selena flinched startledly, looking guilty, while Maggie looked back at Martha. Bruce calmly finished chewing his food before answering nonchalantly, nope. He coughed as Selena, who was sitting before him, pressed her foot against his crotch under the table. Cough, he coughed harder, pretending to choke on his food. You all right? Martha asked concernedly, turning towards Bruce. Yeah, I am good, he replied after gulping a glass of water. Must have swallowed wrongly. Selena smirked triumphantly, flashing a teasing smile towards Bruce. He narrowed his eyes, staring coldly back at her, silently warning her not to try anything funny. She stuck out her tongue, playfully sticking it out provokingly, while grinding her heel sensually against his crotch. His member hardened. So, is the project you were working on finished? Martha questioned, glancing curiously towards Bruce. Yeah, completed it, he replied, trying to maintain a calm facade despite Selena fondling with his growing bulge. Ahem, he cleared his throat, lightly looking away from Martha uncomfortably. That's great. Martha beamed happily. Now, I want you to take some good rest. I know you have been working non-stop for the past month, and I don't want my son collapsing due to exhaustion. He nodded his head, obediently replying seriously, I will do that, Mom. Ahem, he cleared his throat again, while discreetly pulling his member out through his zipper. Selena looked at him in surprise as she felt his hard member poking against her feet. Bruce stared back challengingly, daring her to back off. She grinned mischievously, accepting his challenge. Selena started rubbing her soul sensually up and down his shaft, stroking it provocatively. He suppressed his urge to moan, feeling aroused. His expression remained neutral, even though he was struggling to hold himself back from climaxing too early. Martha had finished eating already and got up, taking her plate into the kitchen sink. Despite the maids cleaning everything, she insisted on helping them whenever possible. She liked doing housework because she found it relaxing. Meanwhile, Maggie leaned near her sister's ears. Selena, what are you doing? Stop fooling around. Why are you kicking him? She whispered. Wah. She cleared her throat. What do you mean? Selena answered innocently, feigning ignorance as she quickly pulled back her leg. Bruce sighed disappointedly, quietly stuffing his hard member inside his pants before anyone noticed its appearance. I will tell Mom if you bother him again. Maggie threatened angrily, glaring threateningly towards her sister. You can't hit him. Haha. It's all right. I kinda deserve it, Bruce said with a little chuckle, shaking his head, dismissively waving Maggie off casually. It doesn't hurt much anyway. Don't worry about it. See? Bruce says it's fine, Mags, Selena said, smugly grinning victoriously towards Maggie tauntingly. Don't meddle into our affairs. Fine. She grumbled. Stop making that face, Selena scolded, chiding Maggie, lightly nudging her sister, gently bumping their shoulders playfully. What are you, a 10-year-old kid? Maggie harumphed, indignantly crossing arms under her chest and refusing to reply. Bruce smiled amusedly, watching their sibling interaction warm-heartedly. They bickered often but cared deeply about each other regardless of how many arguments they had. After dinner, everyone helped clean up the dining table. Maggie went early to study for her upcoming exam, leaving Bruce and Selena alone downstairs. Selena tried to quickly dash to her room, only to find Bruce blocking her path, grabbing onto her arm, tightly preventing her escape. Not so fast. He smirked mischievously, narrowing his eyes, staring lustfully towards her. She blushed bright red, averting eye contact, embarrassedly avoiding Bruce's intense gaze nervously. What do you want? Selena stuttered, glancing sideways, awkwardly unsure whether to meet his stare directly. Oh, cut out that innocent look. It ain't gonna work on me. You left me with blue balls twice. He pushed her to the wall and pressed his body, firmly trapping Selena against it, cornering her predatorily and looming over her menacingly. Now payback time, baby. What are you gonna do about that? She challenged boldly with a smirk. What else? As long as you help me relieve myself tonight, I won't punish you, he leaned forward, whispering huskily. Is that so? Selena purred sultrily, licking her lips lasciviously. And how exactly am I going to help you relieve yourself tonight? She trailed her fingertips, lightly brushing on his chest. Bruce grabbed onto Selena's hand, forcefully pinning her wrists above, holding firmly. You do know your grappling techniques won't work on me, right? He smirked haughtily. Try all you like, but I guarantee nothing will succeed, he declared. Hiss. Selena clicked her tongue. What do you want me to do? I want to put my member between your boobs and smash those beautiful melons until I paint them white, he whispered in her ears and gave her earlobe a light bite. Selena shivered. You want a melon job like those in R18 videos, huh? She smirked teasingly. Tell me the truth, Bruce. You want to smash me, right? Not like this. He kissed her cheek gently and let go of her hand. Tell me, Selena, do you like me or this thing going on between us? You secretly watched me train, then enter the bathroom, and now that thing during dinner. Do you like me or is this all just for fun? He brushed her cheeks gently, caressing her gently. Selena hesitated a few seconds, staring into his blue eyes, before wrapping hands around his neck, pulling Bruce closer, kissing him passionately. Are all geniuses this dumb? She chuckled a little. Of course I like you. That's good to hear. He smiled contentedly, happily, blissfully. Now about that melon job. Arg. You are impossible. You just made me confess, And you still ask for that. She was taken by surprise when Bruce suddenly lifted her up, carrying bridal-style Princess Carrie. Wah! What are you doing? Put me down. He ignored her protests and carried her to his bedroom. Inside the room, he gently placed her onto his bed and sat down beside her. You like me, but I love you. You see the difference, right? Bruce stated, staring intently directly into Selena's beautiful eyes. She blushed bright crimson red, covering her face, hiding her embarrassment, averting her gaze shyly and glancing away bashfully. It's hard to control myself when I am near you. That's why I have been ignoring you for quite some time now, he added. Selena was speechless. Her eyes widened in shock. I knew you looked somewhat distant recently, but I didn't realize it was because of me. Yeah, it's kind of my fault. I didn't mean to ignore you or hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But there is one thing I definitely regret. And that is not kissing you sooner. Selena, without a single word, jumped on Bruce, deeply kissing him on the lips. The moment their tongues touched, a jolt of electricity surged throughout her entire body, sending shivers down her spine. Her heart pounded furiously. Both of them ripped apart their clothes. They began kissing passionately, locking lips fiercely, making out heatedly. You didn't have to do that, you know? He said, tousling her hair. I wanted to, Selena replied. But I'll admit it did taste weird. You were amazing. Bruce gave her a small peck on her forehead. You mean I gave you the best BJ, she said playfully. Or the best melon job. Then again, I guess I am the first one, huh? Haha, he chuckled. Just what kind of R18 content did you watch? The hot stuff, of course. She stuck out her tongue teasingly. Why? Did I surprise you? Yep. The great Selena Kyle sure as hell did a good job, he admitted without the slightest hint of shame or embarrassment, and just smiled sheepishly at her, causing a delightful twinkle in her eyes. Come here, he whispered affectionately, wrapping his arms around her. Let's snuggle for a while, shall we? Selena pressed her slender body to him, wrapping her arms around his waist, cuddling, her head resting on his chest, closing her eyes. This feels nice, you know, she whispered loud enough for him to hear. I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't rescued me from the street that day. She laughed humorlessly. It is hard to tell, but if it had been up to you, I think I'd probably have had to hunt for some cat in my city, he joked, then chuckled. Of course, I still might, depending on how badly things escalate. Ha ha ha. In the end, he had always found her before anyone else. They laughed softly as they basked in each other's embrace for the first time. So, how are cats doing? Bruce asked while sliding his fingers through her dark hair. CA cats? What cats? Selena stuttered, suddenly tensed. That black cat and the 6 kittens you picked up from the back alley, remember? How do you know? She looked surprised because she picked them up last month and hid them in the treehouse she had fixed. Knowing how busy Bruce was all the time, she thought he didn't have enough time to notice a single stray cat and a handful of newborns. But little did she realize that just like her, he was also looking at her from time to time, unable to express his feelings till now. I am all omniscient, you know. Bruce feigned a mysterious tone. Yeah, and I am a god, she chuckled. Bruce kept petting her hair in silence. Tell me honestly, do you really like cats? He knows about her love for cats, since he has read the comics in his past life. How can one not love them when they're fluffy and adorable? She exclaimed passionately. Then why hide? Just tell one of the workers to build a small room on the side, and make sure to feed and train them properly, he advised. Don't let the kittens or your beloved cats run away and get hurt outside. Oh okay, Selena nodded and turned to look at him. They just lay there in silence. It's getting late, Selena sat up. I should probably go back to my room. She was going to dress up and leave, but a slight tug on her arm stopped her. Stay. He pulled her closer into his embrace, holding her like the most precious thing in the world. Tonight, please stay and be with me. MHM. She was surprised at how needy he suddenly was. What if your mom or Alfred finds out? What if? She hesitated. Let them, Bruce muttered, running his fingers through her long soft hair, because there is nothing to hide. I was planning on telling them eventually, so it doesn't matter if they find out a little early. Really? She asked doubtfully. Don't worry, he reassured her. As I have said, there is nothing to fear because my parents really like you. And no matter how they'll react, I know that they won't reject you. Bruce and Selena lay in each other's arms cuddling quietly as they slowly fell asleep. Looks like I will have my sweet romance life like Batman from those comics. But, dang. She is so beautiful. Now that I think of it, I have Pepper in the Marvel world, and here's Selena. Isn't it kinda cheating? But I can't help it. Having her in my arms calms my heart and makes me forget all the worries that have haunted me until now. Maybe the heroes' romances aren't such a bad idea. He contemplated before finally drifting off to sleep. Meanwhile, Bruce's parents' room. So, what do you think of Bruce and Selena? Martha asked Thomas as she rubbed her lotion on her arms. Don't you think they look cute together? I asked her, but she ignored it and tried to shift the conversation. I asked Bruce about her last week. He said that girls are nothing but a distraction and that they will affect his work, Thomas replied while reading a book. Do you think they will keep staying in denial? She chuckled. Why don't we lock them in a closet one of these days and see what happens next? Martha asked while squinting her eyebrows in amusement. Imagine his blushing face, she teased. And Selena's would definitely be as red as an apple. So adorable. She covered her lips to muffle a chuckle. Just leave them be. They are young. It's better to let them sort out their feelings in their own time, Thomas reasoned. But what about Bruce's mental state? Do you think his mind is still that of an 8-year-old kid? She couldn't help but express her worries. You're kidding me? Sometimes it feels as if he is more mature than me. He is almost 19, but the way he looks and acts make him look like 30 years old, and a well-established businessman at that, Thomas complimented. He continued, I believe his mental age is far greater than what we believe. His coma has got nothing to do with his mental age. Back when he was a kid, he always appeared to be a sensible boy, never complaining or whining, never demanding or throwing a tantrum, never scared to voice his honest thoughts. And have you heard of any kid reading quantum physics and advanced coding at the age of 3? So, he is far more mature than his age, huh? Looks like his IQ and mental prowess really did go to a new height, didn't it? Yes, Thomas nodded and then scratched his chin thoughtfully. And that's what makes me fear about his future. What do you mean? She asked with a serious expression. I have made too many enemies, trying to keep the Wayne enterprise running, and as you already know as the mayor, I made even more enemies, so if it ever comes to their attention that Bruce is indeed very intelligent, I fear that he might attract their attention instead of me. That's why I tried to suppress him since he was a kid. I feared that they would try to use his brain for their own gain, or even try to abduct or harm him. And what about now? Martha probed further. You yourself told me how brilliant he was during the training, and he even built the reactor in less than a month. Now, he isn't a kid anymore. He passed all the training and knows how to protect himself. So if he wants to let the world know about himself, I will always support him and try to help him out as much as I can, he replied as he closed the book and placed it on the bedside desk. I just hope nothing bad happens to him again. My dear wife, don't worry. His old man is still alive and kicking, Thomas chuckled. Besides, even if trouble does occur, there are the guards and special ops I have personally arranged. So, trust me, Bruce will be just fine. I am not going to repeat the same mistake again. I trust you. Haha, Thomas chuckled as he slid closer and embraced her softly. Everything will be just fine. Just believe in this old man. He comforted her. Martha let her worries dissolve under his firm, protective arms as she nestled into the warm embrace. Wayne Manor was wrapped in the darkness of the night. The moon cast eerie shadows across the grounds, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves in the trees. Inside the mansion, all seemed calm as the inhabitants of the grand estate slumbered peacefully, unaware of the impending danger. In the quiet of the night, Selena stirred in her sleep, a sense of unease washing over her. She had always been vigilant, even in her dreams. Her instincts told her that something was amiss, and she slowly opened her eyes, trying not to make a sound. She turned her head to find Bruce, who was already awake and was looking out the window. He turned his head and signed to her to keep quiet. Selena, sensing the urgency in Bruce's gestures, silently slipped out of bed and started putting on her clothes. Her movements were swift and soundless. Once dressed, she joined him at the window, careful not to make any noise that might alert the potential threat. Outside Wayne Manor, in the dark of night, a group of assassins moved with stealth and precision. They were trained in the shadows, experts in covert operations. They crept silently through the estate's sprawling grounds, taking out the guards with ruthless efficiency. As Bruce and Selena watched from the window, they could see the intruders' movements. The assassins moved like phantoms, striking without a sound. They incapacitated the guards one by one, rendering them unconscious before they could raise an alarm. So it begins, he thought with a smile. Finally, he will get to test his progress on these assassins, or whoever they are. He turned to Selena. You wanted to know my goal, right? She nodded, curious about what Bruce meant. He smirked, to kill people like them who disrupt others' peaceful lives. No second chance, no mercy, only death. Selena widened her eyes, never imagining Bruce would be capable of such thoughts. However, seeing how serious he was, she couldn't help but gulp. He is dead serious. Take lives? She questioned, unsure if he was being truthful. He didn't reply. Instead, he focused on the intruders below. She watched as the assassins made their way toward the manor. With each step, her heart raced faster. Is this what you meant back then? Our deal? She asked with a grim expression. My goal is to cleanse this world of scumbags, Selena, Bruce replied, his voice cold as ice. He wanted to hold it back from her and was waiting for a good moment, but this moment was as good as any. We will nip the bud before it blooms into something dangerous. Or rather eradicate it entirely. His words sent shivers down her spine. She had never seen this side of Bruce before. As someone who grew up in the streets, she has seen the dark reality of the crime world, even if it's little. She has witnessed kidnapping, drug deals, people getting destroyed by the drugs, and one fateful night, she witnessed a shooting in the crime alley when she was just around 8 years old. She saw 2 men shooting at a young boy around her age, and his family, but she was too powerless, too weak, and scared to do anything. It was a faded memory, but she still remembers the sound of the gunshots. Selena understood that sometimes drastic measures needed to be taken to survive. I trust him. I am sure he has big plans. If killing one saves 10 people, why not? But he won't go on a full killing spree like that MC from the game, would he? Damn it. Girl, WTF are you thinking? Does he look like a lunatic to you? But still. Taking lives. I want to know the limits. She knew he was different from other men, but killing. Then again, they did come to kill someone or harm someone for whatever reason. Right now in this moment, she had to make a choice. Either follow Bruce and walk along with him on his path to end criminals, or live like a regular person. She knows that they won't throw her out on the streets after all this time. But, can I really stay still knowing I have the power to make a difference? I can't let all my training go to waste. I can't break his trust or love. Shit. I have to ask him and he will probably get angry for thinking so low of him, but I just had to know. She thought. By criminals, you mean the big ones, right? You ain't planning on killing the kids who were forced by their situation to join gangs, right? Selena asked with a grim expression. Huh? What? No. Why would I go around killing kids and small-timers? You insane. He questioned, finding her asking stupid questions. Kids have a future, while small-timers makes good informant. It would be a waste to kill them. Plus, he doesn't want to lower himself to the level of thugs and lowlifes. Don't you dare to think so little of me. Our goal is to kill the top brass before they can do dangerous things, and the rest will fall apart. We will rescue the ones who were forced by their situation, and GCPD can take care of the rest. He explained, sighing. So that's why the training. A vigilante. Now that sounds cool, she thought, imagining Bruce and her kicking some serious asses. Hee. Sorry. I was playing a game last night about a guy killing everyone in the name of justice. Selena apologized, feeling relieved after hearing Bruce's plan. She smiled and held his hand. I thought you were going on full Terminator mode, killing everyone. Bruce chuckled at her cute action, ruffling her hair. Let's start our first mission together, shall we? He said with a smile as the balcony door opened and 4 assassins entered the room. They moved swiftly, their daggers drawn and ready for battle. They spread out, surrounding the pair, prepared to strike at a moment's notice. So, I am your target, huh? Who put you up to this? Black Mask or some other creeps? Oh well, not that it matters since you bastards are all gonna end up dead tonight anyway. Bruce spoke casually, seemingly unfazed by the assassin's presence. Selena stood behind him, watching the assassins carefully. She could feel the tension in the air, the anticipation of battle. Such confidence, I like it, one of the assassins spoke. Break his limbs. Everything will be fine as long as he is alive. What about the girl? Another one asked. What else? The first one replied, "Kill he." Before he could finish his sentence, Bruce swooped in and grabbed his Adam's apple with the grappling technique he had learned. "Kill who?" He ripped his Adam's apple out. Blood splattered everywhere as the assassin screamed in pain, but no sound came out of his mouth. He fell on the floor, gurgling and clutching his neck as blood poured out. Bruce threw his Adam's apple towards another assassin's face. The blood splattered, blinding his eyes temporarily. "Shit! Attack!" the third one yelled, closing his eyes. But it was futile. Bruce poked his eyes out using his fingers, making him scream in pain as he fell on the floor. The fourth one attacked him from behind, thrusting his dagger forward. But Selena caught his wrist and twisted it, and then she quickly punched under his elbow, breaking it instantly. With a crunching sound, his bones came out from his forearm, making him scream in pain. Then followed by a sharp chop on his throat, knocking him out in an instant. The last one tried to jump out of the window, but Selena used her speed and flexibility to her advantage, leaping off Bruce's shoulders and straight onto the assassin's shoulders. Using the momentum of her fall, she wrapped her legs around his neck and twisted her body backward, snapping his neck instantly. She flipped back gracefully, landing on her feet beside Bruce. She froze for a moment. "Did I just?" "No, don't hesitate. It's them or us." The assassins lay scattered on the ground, their bodies broken and bleeding. One missing his throat and bleeding out, the second one became blind and bleeding, the third one was unconscious and bleeding, and the fourth one was dead. "Not bad, Selena. Not bad at all," Bruce praised, impressed by her performance. Main bedroom. Outside the bedroom, a group of assassins silently approached. Their footsteps barely made a sound as they moved with precision through the dark corridors. They have already used sleeping gas through the ventilation. All they have to do is to kill the woman. The leader of the assassins, a tall and imposing figure, signaled for his comrades to be ready. With a nod, they prepared to strike. As they reached the door, the leader gave a silent signal, and one of the assassins slowly turned the doorknob, but to his shock, a powerful electric surge coursed through it. The voltage was so high that it instantly roasted his hand and arm, leaving his body charred and lifeless. Smoke rose from the horrific sight. He died before he could scream. The second assassin, witnessing the horrifying demise of his comrade, quickly attempted to retreat. However, before he could run, 5 spikes emerged from the floor, impaling him on the spot. The remaining assassins continued their attempt to reach the main bedroom, unaware of the deadly traps that lay in their path. As they descended the stairs, they met a series of gruesome surprises. The third assassin stepped on what appeared to be a loose floorboard, triggering a mechanism. Suddenly, spikes shot out from the walls, impaling him from various angles, turning the staircase into a deadly death trap. He fell lifelessly, skewered by the merciless spikes. The fourth assassin, watching his comrades fall to these deadly surprises, hesitated for a moment. He tried to carefully navigate his way down the stairs, testing each step gingerly. Unfortunately for him, the final step was a pressure plate connected to a concealed blade that shot out from the floor, slicing through his legs and causing him to fall forward, only to meet with a metal spike that fell from the ceiling, pierced right through his neck and came off his mouth, pinning him on the floor and killing him on the spot before he could even scream. The last assassin, now the sole survivor, was in a state of shock as he witnessed the gruesome fates of his fellow intruders. He desperately searched for an escape route, but it seemed that every path led to a gruesome demise. Panic washed over him, and he began to realize that he had walked into a house of death. The last surviving assassin, still in a state of shock and desperation, reached for his whistle, but before he could alert the others waiting outside, a sudden jolt of electricity coursed through his body. His limbs convulsed, and he collapsed to the ground, trembling in agony. Alfred had approached the assassin from behind, wielding a powerful taser. He had silently observed the intruder's grisly fate and decided to take matters into his own hands. The assassin, now incapacitated by the electrical shock, twitched and writhed on the floor, unable to blow the whistle or call for help. Alfred looked down at the fallen assassin with a stern expression. "Uninvited guests are not welcome in the middle of the night." Alfred, with a stern expression, didn't hesitate. He tossed the incapacitated assassin, rendering him unconscious. The assailant's body went limp, and he collapsed to the ground, no longer a threat. The butler took a moment to catch his breath and ensured that the intruder posed no further danger. Then he approached the incapacitated assassin and checked to ensure he was unconscious. The traps in the house had done their job, eliminating the threat effectively. Alfred knew that this was no ordinary break-in, and he needed to secure the intruder. After confirming the assailant was no longer a danger, he reached into his pocket and retrieved a device. With a few swift movements, he disabled the traps he had set throughout Wayne Manor. The house was once again safe from further intrusion. Once the traps were deactivated, he pulled out his phone and made a call to the other butlers and maids within Wayne Manor. He instructed them to gather and assist him in tying up the unconscious intruder. Within minutes, the staff arrived in the corridor, ready to help. Alfred directed them on how to secure the intruder. They used strong ropes to bind his hands and legs, ensuring he would not escape once he regained consciousness. As they worked, his calm and stern expression never wavered. He knew that this incident had to be handled with the utmost discretion. And as the head butler of the Wayne Manor, he wouldn't tolerate any trespassers or anyone who wants to hurt the Waynes. With the intruder securely bound, Alfred and the staff carried him to a secure location within the mansion. Outside at the same time, Ilana had been silently observing the demise of the assassins who attempted to infiltrate Wayne Manor. She was aware of the deadly traps set within the mansion, and it was clear that the intruders had severely underestimated the dangers they would face. The last group of assassins remaining outside was unaware of the horrific fate that had befallen their comrades. They believed they could swiftly eliminate their targets and escape without a trace. In the shadows, Ilana watched as one of the assassins approached a tree to relieve himself. She took a silent step closer, her movements as fluid as a shadow. As he exposed himself, she struck swiftly, driving a small dagger into his throat. The assassin gurgled and gasped for air, but his life faded quickly. Her expression remained cold and unyielding as she slowly dragged him into the bush. Suddenly, 3 dead and bloodied bodies flew out of the second floor's window and crashed to the ground. What the heck is going on? The remaining assailants rushed to check the situation. Ilana, having taken advantage of the chaos and distraction, moved in with lightning speed. The remaining assassins outside were completely unaware of the gruesome demise of their comrades and the deadly traps within Wayne Manor. She swiftly dispatched 4 of the assassins in rapid succession. Her movements were precise and deadly. She struck like a shadow, using a combination of daggers and hand-to-hand combat to incapacitate her targets. The first assassin felt a sharp blade against his throat, and before he could react, his life was extinguished. The second fell to a well-placed stab to the heart. The third met 2 quick stabs on his chest and a slice on his throat, and the fourth was taken down with a bone-shattering blow to the neck. The assassins never had a chance to defend themselves or react. They fell one by one, their bodies collapsing silently to the ground, their lives snuffed out in an instant. Bruce's room. In Bruce's room, he and Selena continued to watch Ilana's swift and deadly actions as she eliminated the remaining assassins with ruthless efficiency. The intruders never had a chance to defend themselves, and their lives were extinguished one after another. Selena's eyes widened in astonishment as she witnessed Ilana's combat skills. She couldn't help but be impressed by the deadly grace with which Ilana dispatched her targets. "You have been training with her all this time?" she asked Bruce. "Yeah," he replied quietly. "Although we mostly do martial arts and other fighting training. This is the first time I see her use a weapon." Ilana's movements were so smooth and controlled, her fighting style appeared almost like a dance. Yet, her attacks were lethal and devastating. Each strike carried the full weight and momentum of her body behind it. "Shit. She is deadly. I knew she was holding back during our training days. Now I can see it clearly." He watched as Ilana made quick work of the remaining assailants. "Damn. And here I thought my teacher was badass." Selena couldn't help but admire the deadly skills of the silent assassin. "Well, she is a pro at close-quarter combat, that's for sure," Bruce replied quietly, still not taking his eyes off the scene before him. Ilana, after dispatching the remaining assassins, looked toward the balcony at Bruce and Selena's bedroom, her expression cool and stoic. Her gaze met Bruce's, and she gave a curt nod and showed him a thumbs up for managing to kill the 3 intruders and creating a nice distraction. His gaze was equally steady as he returned the nod. In the aftermath of the attempted intrusion and the swift elimination of the assassins, Wayne Manor needed a thorough cleaning and restoration. Alfred, along with a team of maids and workers, took charge of the cleanup. Alfred organized the efforts with his usual efficiency and precision. The staff meticulously cleaned the areas where the confrontation had taken place, ensuring that no traces of blood or any signs of the altercation remained. They also repaired any damages to the mansion's interior caused by the intruders. The bodies of the fallen assassins were handled discreetly by Ilana and her team. The alive ones are taken to the hidden chamber under the manor. In the living room, Bruce and Selena, still filled with adrenaline from the events, sat down with Thomas. They recounted the night's events, excluding the fact that they killed 3 of them. For some reason, Ilana kept it quiet about the killings. She just gave them a weird glance. He listened carefully to their account, his expression a mix of concern and pride for his son and Selena. To think my job would put my family in such danger. He sighed heavily as he considered the danger his family had faced due to his profession. He rubbed his eyes in exhaustion and looked at Bruce and Selena with a mix of concern and pride. He couldn't help but worry about their well-being. I am glad that none of you got hurt. You two must be shocked to see so many dead bodies. Bruce and Selena shared a glance before nodding in response to his question. We're fine, Dad. It's no big deal. They had it coming when they decided to target us. And I don't want to feel shaken up after seeing some criminals' dead bodies, Bruce reassured him. Besides, Ilana and Alfred took care of the situation. We just need to make sure the security is even tighter from now on. Selena chimed in, yeah, don't worry. I am fine. We are fine. You should have seen Bruce kicking their butt. Haha. I am sure he did. I am just glad everyone is all right. Thomas let out a little chuckle. Don't worry, I will make sure such things never happen again, I promise. You should start the attack sooner than later. These guys must be from the Black Masks gang. From what one of them said, they wanted to kidnap me and use that as leverage to make you bend to their wills. Bruce added while crossing his arms. Thomas nodded in agreement. Yes. You are right. I will take care of things. By the way, keep this attack situation from your mom. She has enough things on her mind as it is with the charity event coming up. And I don't want her to get worried unnecessarily. And keep it from Maggie too. Her exam is coming up. I don't want her to get distracted and worried. Thanks to the soundproof room. He sighed. Both of them agreed with him. They both knew how much their mom loved her family. It was best to avoid stressing her further. And Maggie would get worried if she heard about this attack. All right then, Thomas stood up as he glanced at his wristwatch. It's still early morning, 5 a.m. I will hit the office early to make the preparation. I will let Ilana guard the house today, just in case. I think it's better if you take her with you today. I doubt they will attack us in the broad daylight. And even if they do, Selena and I are more than enough to handle the situation. Besides, the traps are working again, Bruce suggested, pointing at Selena next to him. He thought for a moment before agreeing with Bruce. All right, but I will appoint more guards around. And don't go out without the guards, okay? Both of you. Shit. Those bastards just had to attack today when he was finally going to take me on a date, Selena cursed inwardly. Bruce assured him, okay, but you two take care. We don't know when these gangsters will strike again. Selena. Thomas asked her for her confirmation. She replied, sure. Okay then. I will see you two at dinner. Thomas patted Bruce and Selena's shoulder before leaving to prepare for work. After Thomas left for work and the immediate tension had eased, Bruce turned to Alfred with a curious expression. Alfred, I didn't know we had all these traps set up in the house. Can you tell me more about them? How did you even come up with all these? He inquired, his curiosity piqued. Alfred, however, tried to divert the conversation, a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Master Bruce, it's best not to dwell on such matters. They are merely a precaution to ensure the safety of the household. Bruce could sense his reticence but persisted. I get that, Alfred, but knowing about them might help me understand how to use them if a situation arises. You know, like last night. The butler sighed, realizing that Bruce wouldn't drop the topic. Alfred, though reluctant to discuss the traps, eventually relented and began to explain their origins to them. He revealed that the traps were a precaution put in place by Thomas. His strict stance against crime had made him several enemies in the criminal underworld, and the traps were intended to protect the family in case someone decided to target them. Master Thomas wanted to ensure the safety of Wayne Manor and its occupants, especially with his position as the mayor, he explained. The traps were installed as a precautionary measure, but we hoped they would never need to be activated. They listened attentively, understanding the necessity of such security measures. They knew that in the world they lived in, danger could come from unexpected quarters, and it was essential to be prepared. Well, it's good to know we have them, Bruce commented. They certainly came in handy last night. Yeah, right, safety measures are all right. But Something fishy is going on, he wondered. Could it be? Selena added, "You are an all-rounder, aren't you, Alfred?" She showed him a thumbs up. Alfred, with his usual composure, acknowledged her compliment with a modest nod and a faint smile. "I do my best to ensure the safety and well-being of this household, Miss Selena. It's my duty and privilege." The breakfast went as usual. Martha didn't notice any changes, except for the fact that everything looked a bit too clean in her eyes. "Alfred, this carpet looks new. We just bought the old one last month," she remarked. Bruce answered her instead, "Oh yeah, Mom. It's my fault. Last night, I might have set it up on fire." He grinned, scratching his head. "My old Batmobile toy exploded. Bad battery." Martha looked at him with a mixture of amusement and concern. "Oh dear, I hope you didn't get hurt in the process. You should be more careful with your toys." He gave her a reassuring smile. "No, Mom, I'm perfectly fine. Just a little startled, that's all. It won't happen again." Besides, Alfred took care of the mess. She let out a relieved sigh. "That's good to hear. You had me worried for a moment." After breakfast, Bruce headed to the training hall. He still remembers Alana's fighting techniques and the way she killed the assassins. He wanted to get stronger and faster than he is right now. Bruce walked inside the training hall, mulling over his thoughts on the previous night. He had seen Alana's lethal skills and the traps of Wayne Manor in action, and it had left him feeling compelled to improve himself. He was aware that if he and Selena were to face more threats such as the assassins, they would need to be even more prepared. Inside the training hall, he saw the same setup of equipment he had seen before, from punching bags to various weapons and training dummies. The space was well ventilated, with huge windows that let in lovely morning light. Bruce felt that it was time to step up his training. He started with a series of warm-up exercises to get his body ready for the intense training ahead. He flexed his muscles, concentrating on flexibility and movement. His motions were calm and accurate. His eyes fell on the darts and knives collection near the practice dummies. It's been a while. The memories of his training sessions with Alana came flooding back, and he felt a desire to reconnect with that aspect of his training. Bruce approached the weapons and selected a set of throwing knives. He held them in his hand, feeling their weight and balance. He took a few steps back, positioning himself at a reasonable distance from the practice dummies. He focused his gaze on the target, his eyes locked on a specific point. With a swift and precise motion, he hurled one of the knives towards the dummy. The knife flew through the air, its blade spinning, and hit the target dead center with a satisfying thud. His lips curled into a small smile as he retrieved another knife and repeated the process. The sound of knives hitting the target echoed through the training hall. All right, he picked up 2 knives and took aim. He focused on the practice dummy before him. With a deep breath, he prepared to throw both knives simultaneously, testing his coordination and precision. In one swift and fluid motion, he released the knives. They spun through the air, their blades glinting in the morning light, and struck the practice dummy in a synchronized manner. The knives embedded themselves into the target, side by side, perfectly aligned. He retrieved more knives and continued to throw them with precision, honing his skills further. The training hall was filled with the rhythmic sound of blades hitting their mark. All right. All warmed up now, Bruce cracked his fingers. Time to amp things up a bit. He made up his mind to increase the difficulty of his training. He cast a glance at the mechanism in the training hall's corner. It was a complicated apparatus with moving targets that was meant to test his accuracy and reaction time. He approached the control panel with a goal in his eyes and engaged the mechanism. The training hall's control panel was activated, and the complex mechanism began to set the targets in motion. The moving targets consisted of various shapes and sizes, simulating different scenarios and challenges. Some targets moved horizontally, mimicking the lateral movement of a human opponent, while others moved vertically, replicating the ebb and flow of a fight. As Bruce was about to begin his training with the moving targets, the sound of the training hall's door creaking open caught his attention. He turned to see Selena entering the room, her curiosity piqued by the equipment and his training. "Target practice, huh?" She walked over to him and took up a knife from the table. "Yeah, thought I'd work on my accuracy and reaction time," he replied. "Humph." He threw the knife, and it found its target. Selena aimed her knife, her gaze fixed on the moving target. For a brief period, she studied the pattern of its motion, noting its rhythm and pace. She hurled the knife with a powerful yet fluid motion. The blade sliced through the air and struck the target with remarkable accuracy, hitting the exact spot where Bruce's knife had hit moments before. The two daggers were now lodged side by side in the target, but Bruce's knife fell down. "Oh my, you tired, Bruce?" Selena smirked as she spun the knife, using the little hole at the end. "Tired? You're on, lady." Bruce shot her an amused look. They competed against each other, taking turns to hurl the knives at the moving targets. Their movements were agile and graceful, mirroring their combat experience and skill. As they trained, they also exchanged playful banter, adding an element of friendly rivalry to their competition. Their knives continued to find their marks, striking the targets with increasing precision and speed. The training hall was alive with activity and the sound of metal piercing wood. Bruce and Selena's bodies glistened with sweat due to their exertion, yet they were at a stalemate, a draw between them. Neither could claim victory nor defeat. Suddenly, Bruce noticed Selena wincing in pain, clutching her shoulder slightly after throwing the knife. Her expression was tense, and there was a hint of discomfort in her eyes. "Hey, take it easy." He stopped his training and approached her, concerned. He knows that their training style is different, and he was impressed to see her keeping up with his techniques. "Don't push yourself too hard." "I'm fine, don't worry." Selena brushed off his concern. "Just a little stiffness from last night." "Take it easy." Bruce placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, massaging it lightly. Her skin tingled under his touch, and she couldn't help but lean into his caress, enjoying the feel of his strong hands on her sore muscles. A low purr escaped her throat as she closed her eyes, basking in the pleasure of his massage. He smiled at the sight, glad that she was able to relax despite her exhaustion. He continued to massage her shoulder, applying just the right amount of pressure to ease the tension in her muscles. His skilled hands worked magic on her aching body, soothing away her pain and fatigue. Selena felt herself melting under his touch, completely surrendering to the sensations of blissful relief. He noticed how soft her skin was. He brushed her hair from her shoulders so he could reach every inch of her bare skin. She sighed softly as his touch sent shivers down her spine. Every fiber of her being seemed attuned to his presence, acutely aware of his proximity and contact with her. He glanced at her flawless figure as he massaged her. He admired her smooth skin. The sunlight coming from the hall's large windows highlighted her beautiful features, making her seem almost angelic. He leaned in and kissed her neck gently. She didn't resist, just stood still, biting her lips. His kisses trailed lower down her back until his lips reached the nape of her neck once again. This time, though, instead of stopping, he lingered there, planting tender kisses along her sensitive skin. His hands roamed freely across her stomach, slowly moving up until they cupped her chest. Selena gasped quietly as she felt Bruce's firm grip on her bosom. Her nipples hardened instantly beneath her clothes as he squeezed her melons gently, teasing them ever so slightly. He pulled down her shirt and bra straps, exposing her firm nipples fully. Bruce pinched those perky buds between his thumb and forefinger, rolling them around playfully. Selena moaned softly at the sensation of having her sensitive areas stimulated so intimately. She arched her back instinctively, pressing her bottom firmly against Bruce's groin area. She felt something hardening behind her, poking into her insistently. That made her turn her head toward him, giving him a sultry stare full of lustful promises. Her emerald green orbs shone brightly with passion and anticipation. Bruce returned her heated gaze, locking gazes with hers intensely. "You sure know how to please a girl," Selena whispered huskily. "Well, I've got plenty of experience," he responded coolly. A mischievous grin spread across her face when she heard this statement. Without breaking eye contact, she reached back, placing her palm directly upon his crotch. She gave his bulge a gentle squeeze, earning another groan from Bruce. "Plenty of experience, huh? Last time I heard, you were lying in bed for 10 years and the only experience you got was from our little adventures." Bruce chuckled lightly, acknowledging her observation. "And besides, judging from what I'm touching here, you are already raging to go." She turned around, ripped open his training clothes, and pressed herself on his chest. "And here I thought we were going to train a bit more." He grabbed her butt and pulled her up. Her legs clasped around his waist like a vice. Her arms were wrapped tightly around his neck. "You want to train some more, huh?" "Well," he said as his fingers dug into her soft behind. "Oh yes." Selena hissed seductively. "Are you gonna train me now, Bruce? Make me your little bitch." She whispered, remembering the hentai game she had played a few days ago. Right now, she is in the same situation as the girl from the game, and she is all hot. Bruce carried her over to one of the training tables and dropped her onto it. Selena looked up eagerly at him, waiting patiently for whatever he had planned next. He grabbed the waistband of her pants. "Lift your butt." Selena obeyed without hesitation, lifting her hips off the tabletop so that Bruce could pull off her yoga pants easily. Once they were removed, he tossed aside carelessly, revealing the view underneath. Bruce licked his lips hungrily, admiring the view presented before him. "Now lay back," he commanded sternly. Again, she did exactly as instructed, stretching out flat on top of the wooden surface. She watched intently as he unbuttoned his shorts and then, lowering, releasing his swollen member free. She gasped audibly at the sight. "Oh wow. That looks painful," she commented teasingly. "Well, it won't be long till we fix it, my little cat." He touched the wet spot on her panty. "So wet already? Is this all for me?" Bruce collapsed backward against the table behind him, panting heavily from the exhausting orgasm he just had. A satisfied smirk crept across his sweaty face when he looked up at Selena's blissful expression. "You swallowed it all?" he asked curiously. "Every drop." She answered, licking her lips lewdly. He walked over to her, touched her wet chin, and looked into her eyes. "You belong to me, Selena. Always remember that. You are mine." "Ah," she pouted. "What to do? I like being dominated by you so much." "Okay, only if you promise me to never abandon me on the way." He looked into those gorgeous green emerald eyes of hers with a serious look on his face. "Do you trust me, Selena?" She nodded. "After everything you have done for us. How could I not trust you? I trust you with my life, my heart, and my soul. Even if one day you walk away from me, I will follow you regardless, no matter the cost. Even if you kill me." Bruce's eyes widened a little bit in shock. He never expected someone to offer herself completely to him like that before. He cupped her rosy cheeks. "I promise, Selena, I will not abandon you. Never. You belong with me always." Selena smiled happily, wrapping her arms lovingly around him tightly, and hugged him with all her might. "And stop with those cheesy dialogues from that hentai game you played the other day, will you? How do you know about that game? Your browser history on your PC. Stop looking through my stuff." She punched his stomach. "Why would you do that?" "Oh wow." He hugged her closer to him. "What about all that talk, no matter the cost? Even if you kill me?" "Shut up and stop ruining the moment," she said, burying her head into his broad muscular chest and nuzzling into it lovingly. In the wake of the recent attack on Wayne Manor and the looming threat from the Black Masks gang, Thomas took decisive action to counteract the criminal organization's influence in Gotham City. He knew that the key to thwarting the gang's plans lay in their operations centered around Arkham Asylum and the power station. Based on Bruce's insights, he devised a strategy to confront the gang head-on. First, Thomas pulled back the GCPD from their positions around Arkham Asylum. Instead, he appointed his skilled sniper unit to keep a watchful eye on the facility. Their orders were clear: shoot on sight if any inmates attempted to escape or make a move, or any outsider tried to enter. With this plan in place, he then shifted the GCPD's focus to the power station. As the days passed, Thomas's plan to counter the Black Masks gang advanced with precision. The GCPD, under his careful instructions, positioned undercover officers strategically throughout the power plant blocks. They blended seamlessly with the environment, not arousing suspicion among the gang members who had already infiltrated the area. The southern block, in particular, was surrounded by undercover officers, creating a net of surveillance that would make it challenging for the gang to make any significant moves. The officers maintained their cover, pretending to be regular workers or locals, all the while monitoring the activities of the gang. In addition to positioning undercover officers strategically in the power station, he decided to take things a step further by installing hidden CCTV cameras and microphones throughout the facility. He enlisted the help of a skilled team of technicians to discreetly set up the surveillance equipment. Cameras were strategically placed in key locations, providing a comprehensive view of the gang's activities. Microphones were hidden in various spots to capture conversations and discussions that might reveal their plans. These hidden surveillance devices were designed to blend seamlessly into the environment, making them nearly impossible to detect. The footage and audio recordings were streamed to a secure location, where analysts and investigators could monitor them in real time. Gordon and Thomas huddled in the makeshift command center they had set up to monitor the surveillance feed. The room was dimly lit, with multiple screens displaying live footage from the hidden cameras and microphones throughout the power station and around the surrounding areas. They carefully observed the gang members' activities and conversations, using the information gathered to identify key figures and their roles within the organization. This is where they received their shipments. Gordon pointed at one of the screens, showing a group of gang members unloading crates from a truck. It looks like some of these guys are responsible for logistics and supply. We'll mark them as logistics for now. Thomas nodded in agreement, taking notes on a clipboard. They are bringing in weapons to fortify the station. We need to move soon. As they continued to watch, they overheard a conversation between two gang members discussing of planting explosives in the sewer system. The details were vague, but it was clear that the Black Masks gang was trying to sabotage the city's infrastructure. It's tonight. Sewer system. As the critical information about the planned sabotage in the sewer system came to light, Commissioner Gordon quickly sprang into action. He assembled a group of highly trained SWAT officers and briefed them on the situation. Their mission was to infiltrate the sewer system, locate the planted C4 explosives, and neutralize the threat. They were well equipped with specialized gear, including bomb disposal kits and advanced communication devices. The SWAT team descended into the dark and damp depths of Gotham City's sewer system. The tunnels were a labyrinthine network of pipes and passages, and the team navigated carefully, following the intel provided by the surveillance feed. They were well aware that the lives of countless Gotham citizens depended on their success. In the meantime, unbeknownst to the GCPD, Ilana and her team were preparing for a covert operation of their own. Their mission was to eliminate the key members of the Black Masks gang who had been marked by Thomas. Ilana, do what needs to be done. I am sure you know how to handle the situation. I can't trust GCPD blindly, Thomas said over the phone. Don't worry, sir. They won't even know what hit them and how they died. As for the GCPD, Mark has marked the gang's insiders. Should I take care of them too? Ilana inquired while spinning a small knife with her finger. No, leave them be and feed them false infos as we have been doing till now. We have to keep Gordon in the dark. He is too good for his own health. He will do something stupid again like last time. When I give the order, capture them alive and bring them to me, he replied. The cave. Yes. It's time to put on the mask, one last time. Affirmative. And sir, it's good to have you back again on the field. Don't embarrass me, El. I am too old for this shit. I don't even know if I can throw a punch like the old days. I need to take a long vacation after this mess. Ilana and her team had been meticulously studying the gang's patterns and habits, including their daily routines and preferences. This information allowed them to devise a plan to introduce poison into the gang members' lives discreetly. They had a member pose as a new chef at a popular restaurant known to be frequented by the gang. This undercover chef prepared a special dish for the gang members, lacing it with a tasteless, odorless poison. The poisoned dish was served to the targeted members during one of their regular visits to the restaurant. The gang members frequented a local bar, and one of Ilana's team members worked there as a bartender. He discreetly added the poison to the drinks of the marked individuals, ensuring it blended seamlessly with the alcoholic beverages they were consuming. Some gang members were known to be heavy smokers. An undercover member of Ilana's team managed to infiltrate the gang's social circles and offer the poisoned cigarettes during a gathering. The gang members unknowingly smoked the poisoned cigarettes, leading to their gradual intoxication. To reach a wider range of gang members, another member of Ilana's team was employed at a local cafe. She served poisoned tea and coffee to the unsuspecting gang members who visited the establishment regularly. The poison was carefully mixed into their drinks, ensuring it was virtually undetectable. The poison used was a slow-acting lethal substance that caused gradual and irreversible organ failure. The team had calculated the dosage carefully to ensure that the gang members would succumb to the poison over time, reducing the likelihood of arousing suspicion. Ilana and her team executed this plan with meticulous precision, poisoning the marked gang members without raising any alarms. As the gang members continued with their daily routines, unaware of the deadly threat that lurked within their own indulgences, the clock was ticking. The GCPD SWAT team continued their mission in the treacherous sewer system, working tirelessly to locate and disarm the planted explosives before it was too late. As the SWAT team ventured deeper into the labyrinthine sewer system, they followed the information gleaned from the surveillance feed to locate the planted explosives. The situation was tense, with every step echoing with the weight of their mission. Finally, the team reached a section of the sewer where they believed the C4 explosives had been hidden. Carefully, they started searching for any signs of the dangerous devices. After a tense search, they located the explosives hidden in a concealed alcove. Their bomb disposal expert, Officer Ramirez, worked meticulously to disarm the explosives, ensuring that no mistakes were made. It was a race against time since a small suspicion could raise an alarm among the gang, and they might just blow the bombs. The team knew that the lives of countless Gotham citizens were at stake. "All right, this is the last one," Officer Ramirez said with a satisfied sigh as she wiped off her forehead. "Swap the explosives with the fake ones. Make sure to plant it exactly how the old ones were planted. I can't wait to see those bastards' faces." As the poison slowly took its toll on the targeted gang members, the effects were becoming apparent. The once cohesive group began to show signs of internal discord and paranoia, causing rifts and disputes among its members. The poison induced vivid hallucinations that distorted reality for those affected. Some gang members believed they were being pursued by shadowy figures, while others thought they were trapped in a never-ending nightmare. These hallucinations led to increasing tension and erratic behavior within the gang, making it difficult for them to trust each other. Nausea and dizziness plagued the poisoned gang members, rendering them unable to perform their criminal activities effectively. Their compromised physical and mental states hindered their ability to coordinate and plan, weakening the gang's grip on their criminal operations. The poison also led to addiction-like symptoms, as the gang members sought to alleviate their suffering by indulging in more of the substances they believed would offer relief. This dependency on alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs only worsened their already declining health, trapping them in a vicious cycle. Internal bleeding became a critical concern, as the poison silently wreaked havoc on their organs. As the gang members continued to ingest the contaminated food, drinks, and cigarettes, the damage accumulated, leading to severe health complications. The internal bleeding left them in a state of physical agony and vulnerability. Black Mask's hideout. In the depths of his hidden hideout, the Black Mask received news of a growing crisis that threatened to unravel his criminal empire. Whispers of a mysterious and debilitating illness had reached his ears, affecting some of his most trusted lieutenants and members. The report spoke of hallucinations, paranoia, and erratic behavior that had taken hold of his once loyal subordinates. As the information continued to pour in, he realized that this was no ordinary illness, but the effect of an unknown poison. The Black Mask's face contorted with a mixture of anger and frustration as he grasped the gravity of the situation. "The GCPD?" Penguin asked as he took a puff from his cigar. "No, GCPD don't have enough brains to pull this off. Besides, poisoning isn't their technique," Black Mask replied. His expression was covered behind his black mask. "I guess it's time to improvise." He took out a remote. He clenched the remote tightly in his gloved hand, his finger hovering over the button that could detonate the hidden explosives scattered throughout the city. He was determined to eliminate the threat that had infiltrated his gang, even if it meant destroying parts of Gotham. Penguin, on the other hand, had a different perspective. He took another puff from his cigar, the smoke curling around his rotund form. Now, Black Mask," he said, his tone surprisingly calm given the dire situation. "You may want to think this through. If you detonate those bombs, you'll rule over a city in ruins. What's the point of being king if there's no kingdom left?" Black Mask's gloved hand tightened on the remote as he glared at Penguin. "You always did have a soft spot for this city. But my goal isn't to rule over Gotham. I promised you I'd give you Gotham, but I never said anything about the condition it would be in." Penguin smirked, knowing that Black Mask's ambitions often outweighed his strategic thinking. "You can be as ruthless as you want, but without me, you're just a man with a mask. However, if you listen to me, I have a plan. A way to deal with this poison situation without sacrificing everything." Bang! He abruptly drew his gun and fired a shot, hitting Penguin in the shoulder. The portly mob boss cried out in pain, clutching his wounded shoulder as blood began to seep through his expensive suit. "You foolish fat bastard." Black Mask hissed through gritted teeth, his trigger finger still twitching with anger. "You were nothing but a simple fool we used to gain entrance into this city. You, my fat friend, were never a part of my grand plan." He placed the handgun on his forehead. "Here." He handed him the remote and continued, "Choose Gotham or your life." In a quick and decisive move, Penguin activated a small smoke bomb hidden within his coat. A cloud of thick smoke enveloped the room, obscuring visibility and causing Black Mask to cough and sputter. Taking advantage of the chaos, Penguin made a quick escape, clutching the remote as he retreated through a hidden passage in the hideout. His wounded shoulder throbbed in pain, but he couldn't afford to stay within Black Mask's reach any longer. "You newbie," he grumbled in rage. "I will make you pay very soon." Back to Black Mask. As the smoke settled down, he smiled behind his mask. "The bait has been laid. I'm offering a bounty of 5 million for his head. Let every lowlife and scumbag in Gotham know that he's fair game. Since they won't fall for distraction, there are always countless ways to improvise. Run, Clob. Let the GCPD and whoever poisoned my men chase after you and the scums." He chuckled as he put his gun on the table. His gang members nodded in acknowledgement, spreading the word throughout the criminal underworld. The promise of such a substantial reward sent shockwaves through Gotham's criminal network, causing a flurry of activity as seasoned criminals emerged from the shadows to hunt down Penguin. The sudden influx of experienced criminals into the hunt for Penguin disrupted the delicate balance of power that had been maintained in Gotham for the past 10 years. The city's criminal underbelly once again roared to life, with old rivalries rekindled and new alliances forged in the pursuit of the hefty reward. Black Mask watched from the shadows as the chaos unfolded. Fox's secret research facility. Bruce and Fox joined hands and finally made an Iron Man suit in secret, hiding from Thomas. They used the remaining funds from the Reactor project. "Ready for the flying test, Bruce?" Fox asked while standing before a big screen filled with data. Bruce nodded, excitement coursing through him as he stood beside the newly developed Iron Man suit. The sleek, high-tech armor glistened in the dimly lit room, a masterpiece of engineering and innovation. He had dreamt of taking to the skies as the Dark Knight, and now with the Iron Man suit, his dream was on the brink of becoming a reality. "Absolutely, Lucius," he replied with anticipation, his eyes fixed on the impressive suit. "I've waited for this moment for a long time. Let's see what it can do." Fox walked over to a control panel and began the startup sequence. The suit systems came to life with a series of electronic whirs and clicks. Lights on the suit's surface flickered on, and the helmet's visor slid open, revealing the interior. Bruce stepped into the suit, feeling the snug yet comfortable fit. Oh, I miss this feeling. He remembered the old days of his previous life as Tony Stark. "Okay, take it slow," Fox advised as he monitored the suit's diagnostics. "Start with a hover test." He activated the suit's propulsion system, and with a gentle whir of its repulsors, he began to hover a few inches above the ground. It felt incredible, the suit responding to his movements effortlessly. He grinned inside the helmet and said, "Okay, the system looks normal, but the power draw is 10% more than I am aiming for. I will tune it later." Moving on to the next stage. He flew high in the air, almost touching the ceiling, and tried to fly around. The suit responded to his every command, and he effortlessly glided around the secret research facility. It was a dream come true for him. The sensation of flying, even within the confines of the facility, was exhilarating. Thanks to Jarvis's help, he was able to eliminate most of the major flaws in the propulsion system. But since the AI is still going through the learning phase, some errors still remained, like the higher power draw and circuit overheating that forced him to land. The circuits melted. Fox asked as he examined the datapad. "Yup. We need something more durable for this job," Bruce replied as he got out of the suit.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.